Gotta send out the tweet. Anybody ever send out a tweet before? What website do you send out a tweet on? Still says Garbage Man Stories. It's funny. Yo, guys. Harakti, that is correct. You are correct, my good friend. My good friend. Vixa, you're not working? Perfect. I hope no one's working on a Saturday. Oh, yeah. Drinking some tea. You know what I should do? I should just say screw it. Because I've picked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 stories. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Went with 4, came back with 5. Okay. Yeah. So I should read all of them, you know what I'm saying? I should just read all these stories that I have available because from a YouTube-y standpoint, I don't really think enough people, like, not a lot of people want to watch the paranormal stuff. So what I'm gonna do is make up for it by just making the video long AF. And if the video is long AF... Wait, my audio is really quiet? Be Smiley, hello. I don't think my audio should be quiet. I'm registering that it's doing pretty okay. Very superstitious writings on the wall. I gotta organize these to be the most popular ones. That's what I'm doing right now. Alright, okay. Mullen says audio is good, that's good. Music's a little loud, I can turn that down a little bit. Sheesh. Sheesh, am I right, guys? A full-on sheesh. Can I be funny? I could try to be funny, I guess. Just depends if the Lord smileth upon me today with the funny gene. See, some people were just, some people were born funny. We're just born that way. You can't force funny. Hey Jen, what's up? You didn't miss nothing. You just missed me rambling about... Now I'm gonna read 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 tantalizing tales of ghosts. And I sing. You think my singing's funny? My singing's supposed to be very professional and perfect and inspire. There's supposed to be, you know, hymns sung about my singing. Jen, you're effing funny. Let's see it. Leroy. Venikins with the hot fiver. Says, hey Joel, need my predip plus status. Say hi to my sis Lisa. First stream. Hi Lisa, are you welcome to your first ever She's a virgin to the streams, I hear. Well, don't worry. We're all quite nice. And thank you, Venikins. Pradeep is not in the room currently, but I assume at some point he will smash his body into the wall. Music Junkie with the 5 says, just wanted to give some love before I commence my usual lurking. Looking forward to an entertaining stream. Thank you, Music Junkie. I've actually put on some Pandora today because I used to just do college music because they had a free copyright-free playlist. But then I'm like, you know what? I don't even try to like monetize the streams with ads anyways, so I'd rather you guys just get unadulterated good beats popping in the background, at least for these first 20 minutes before we scoot over to Iron Cthulhu. But Jen with a 10 says, tell us about Tyler the Creator. Tyler, yeah, Tyler's a good boy. Really not much to say other than the fact that when I got into LA, I told this story before, came out of LAX, and he was standing right there before me. Wasn't looking at me, so I went up behind him and rubbed my hand down his back to get his attention. His bodyguard told me not to do that. I gave him a nice suburban dad handshake. Told him I loved his work. He looked beyond me with little to no emotion in his eyes, and he mumbled some rrr, and then he crossed the street. It's a very humbling experience. I almost felt like I met Jesus Christ himself. Venikins with the 2 says, my sis Lisa is the NDOA I told you about. Hold on a second. What is NDOA again? I'm kind of confused. We got Nevada Department of Agriculture, Northwest Development Officers Association, North Dakota Optometric Association. Is she the National Day of Action? Sorry, no, I'm sorry. Anyways, Kaylin Henninger with the 2 says, give me a shot. Well, hey, Kaylin, what is poppin'? What's poppin', my slime? And by slime, I mean friend. Did Tyler make my earthquake? He certainly did. With his indifference. Elisa Davis with the $10 says, love your videos, keep up the great work. Thank you, Lisa. Thanks for being here. You need something salty to eat. Recommendations. What salty things do I eat? Sometimes, like, there's different types of cashews you can get at the grocery store that have cool various things coated on them. I think I've gotten one with, like, sort of a sweet, it's like sweet and spicy at the same time, like a habanero sweet. But I like those. Those are pretty addicting, but obviously they're kind of probably coated in sugar. Just depends on what you're okay with. Lils with the 5 says, getting ready to head out, but definitely going to be listening on my Bluetooth headset. Night is now perfectly to stream. Oh, that's amazing. Thank you, Lils. You just tell the entire establishment that, sorry, we've got a emergency and we need to put Let's Read over top the announcements here. Even if there is a fire, I don't care. Jamie Soar, welcome back with the 5 says, can you say hi to my friends China Turtle and Ferns? P.S. You're awesome. I love you. Well, China Turtle and Ferns, those are amazing names. Are you all the way in China? And Ferns, are you truly the plural version of a fern? Oh, Venikins with the 2 says A-D-O-N. Yeah, I mean, now I do know. I do recall that now. The assistant director of nursing. Okay, nice. Oh, that's amazing. That takes some dedication right there. Hey, Tiny Green Turtles, welcome back with the two. Says, hi, Joel, I'm super poor, but I... Big puffy heart you. Oh, thank you. I big puffy heart you as well. You got a new phone, a Note 10 Plus. Really love it. Yeah, I've been, you know, my iPhone, I have the 6 Plus forever. And it's not, you know, it's not the worst of all time per se. But I'm just getting to the point where it's reaching its like sort of planned obsolescence. I remember it had a great battery life, almost up to like 48 hours of battery life, which was pretty surreal for me. Alyssa Davis with the 2 says, just a tip for saying my name perfectly. You're welcome. I've done a lot of research into names and pronunciations, so I'm right there with you. Garrett Wiseman with the 2 says, let's read like salty nuts. This is true. I eat whole bags of them, just dump them right in my mouth. What's my favorite subreddit other than my own? That's a good question. I really like the subreddit Imaginary Landscapes. If you guys have ever been there, reddit.com/r/imaginary landscapes, and it's just got like a lot of talented artists creating different landscapes and cool concepts. Just a lot of fun. Other than that, nothing really comes to mind. I do really like art and just things that challenge my mind. There's one place called Critical Shower Thoughts, if you've ever been there. And it's just like, it's people who want to like think about stuff deeply without any sort of like, any sort of political bias or any nonsense. It's just, or be criticized for asking questions that would otherwise be perceived as nonsensical. But just, so yeah, Critical Shower Thoughts. It's just like shower thoughts, but not like the kind of memey type stuff that you would normally get. It's like, hopefully, what one would consider pretty deep and kind of open your perspective to different ideas. MEB6423 with the 10 says, I have to go to work and I'm unable to listen, but I love your videos and streams. Well, thank you, Emmy. Thank you so much for the 10. That's really kind of you. Do I believe in ghosts? Well, I'm about to read 13 incidences of people who may or may not believe in ghosts. So the real question is, do you? But no, ghosts are one of those things that have perplexed me for a long time as an individual who kind of grew up from high school onward going to church and that kind of thing. You know, making sense of ghosts has always been a very strange concept to me. You know, I sometimes wonder, it was funny, my friend said this was like a deep thought, even though it just felt kind of normal thinking it, but like the idea of whenever you die, you know, a lot of people say they kind of see like a warm white light that they go towards and they feel welcome in it, you know, before they come back for whatever reason or communicate with whatever that sort of existential perspective of God may be in that instance. And, you know, I think about ghosts and I'm like, maybe ghosts are the individuals who sort of are so enamored and caught up in their own reality and their own sort of selfish perspectives here in the here and now, that whenever they die, they just can't seem to let it go and go towards maybe that like warm, fuzzy light, you know, up in the ceiling or whatever. And they end up getting caught as sort of a disembodied spirit here on Earth, or, you know, what we would call ghosts, you know, sort of roaming the land without peace because, you know, they might still perceive that they still exist, and they haven't found their sort of peace that they're looking for. And And in a lot of ways, maybe, yeah, the unfinished business is sort of a sense of hell, as we might call it. But at the same time, me saying these things, like, it creates a nice sort of, like, narrative, I guess, in people's minds. But at the same time, I can't say I have any idea. I'm just as clueless as anybody else on these things. I just like to think about them a lot, maybe more so. Just being real, it's the dumbest explanation you've heard. Well, thank you, Solon. I try my best. The Devil's Backbone is a pretty good ghost movie. I've never seen that. What's that about? Kyle Bachman, you say Discord sucks. Why do you think Discord sucks? I feel like Discord's pretty chill. Unless it's maybe you've had bad experiences with Discord. You haven't joined my Discord. My Discord is the best Discord. What's a song that's been stuck in your head? Oh, I had one yesterday, but I guess it's finally relieved me of that pain, so fortunately it's been unstucketh. Who really knows? Maybe ghosts are all glitches in the Matrix. You know, that's a good point too, is ghosts are sort of some sort of natural phenomena that's, I don't know, like an impression of energy and time, where, say, someone had a really, horrible experience prior to death or leading up to their death, and maybe it led to whatever energy was emitted from themselves to sort of be imprinted in the forever span of time. And then, your experience with a ghost might just be them, you're sort of reliving their experience or their impression on time. But it's hard to say. Hey, Victor Dark, what's up? Castle Reviews with the 5 says, what's one of your favorite horror films? Just wondering. I would say The Witch. I know people think The Witch is boring, but I get really annoyed with horror movies sometimes where I watch them and, like, half the characters are so brain dead, like the reactions to things just seem sort of not realistic, or at least within the context in which they exist doesn't make sense why they would make decisions. So you know what I mean, where people say, like, hey gang, let's split up, kind of thing. Like, now granted, those are the sort of slasher movie cliches per se, but I like The Witch just because I feel like it all kind of, to a certain degree, and I'm okay if you disagree with this, like, it makes sense within the context of their lives why the decisions they make and the characters they are and how people react, and that sort of really strange, not necessarily, analyzed perspective of the Puritan era. I don't know when that took place, the 1600s maybe, but it's interesting. David Pohl with the 5 says, Joel, what's up? How you doing? I'm good, David. What are you doing? Thank you for the 5. Did I miss you, or are you just excited to be here? Well, I'm excited to have you. Josh Michelle says, long-time listener, first-time texter. Well, thank you for texting me, Josh. Tiny Green Turtle says, you haven't been going to Discord much lately. Laptop died and I have tons of issues with other devices. That's okay. It seems like people kind of get on the Discord for a little bit, and then it's sort of certain characters emerge and disappear, and it's just like any sort of interaction you have with people IRL. They come and go from time to time, and so honestly just happy to have anybody there. Oh wait, I got $5 from somebody, but then they retracted the message, and then it also retracted who sent it. So thank you to the anonymous lover with the $5. Thank you. Rosie Neverland's opinions on The Shining or The Conjuring. I thought The Shining is a classic. I mean, you really can't deny The Shining. It's sort of level of movie magic, story, suspense, mystery. Even after it's done, it leaves you thinking, wondering. The cinematography, all of that is perfect. The acting, amazing. I think it was definitely a 9 out of 10 in my book as far as stuff goes. I mean, nothing's perfect necessarily, but by comparison to other works of horror film, I would say it's one of my favorites for sure. The Conjuring one was okay. I remember one of the, and I could be wrong, but one of the scenes from that really wanted me to, caught my attention to watch it was the scene where the woman's doing laundry and she's hanging it on the hangers outside, and all of a sudden the wind takes one of her bed sheets, and the bed sheet catches on the sort of impression of like a human body like standing in front of her, and so she's like taken aback as it's like this impression of a human body directly in front of her, but then all of a sudden it disappears and the sheet flies up towards like the attic, and I'm just like, that is genius. That is a genius scene right there. But I would say overall the movie didn't necessarily sort of enamor me like that throughout the remainder of the film, but it was good. I remember when I was watching The Conjuring 2 in theaters, I was definitely that guy in the front, like making a bunch of weird noises because it was freaking me out. I'm like, ah, ah. I get very loud in movies, surprisingly. Tyler Messa with the 2 says, "Hey Joel, got any plans for the future?" I don't know, honestly. That's a good question. I think about my future a lot, and just trying to have a good time and be jolly in the work that the Lord hath giveth. But as far as future plans, I mean, for the channel, I'm just going to be continuing to do, the typical videos of true scary stories, paranormal stories, subscriber stories, along with like the theme-based stuff, like the Garbage Man stories you heard the other day. And I also am breaking into the documentary realm here soon, so I am really excited about that. My good friend Robin, who's in the Discord, and Robin Mikalsen, who's I think a mod here as well. Fantastic editor, in many, many ways extraordinarily professional in his capabilities. Great artist as well. He's been working on a documentary of ours for the Mary Celeste documentary. And yeah, then we have another one after that I had actually recorded during a stream. And yeah, I'm excited. Oh yeah, there's Robin. Hi Robin. Yeah, I'm stoked. Excited to see how things turn out with that and just how everybody reacts. I hope it's positive. It's still going to be relatively long documentary, about 30 minutes or more. So hopefully it can still be utilized as something to relax to as well. Alberto with the 2 says, "Hey, good evening, man. How are you?" I'm doing great, Alberto. Believe it or not, it's time to read some spooky stories, as the words on the screen say right now. Read time. Nothing 2 with the $2 says, "Hi, I love your videos so much. They're maxing." Thank you. I'm glad I'm maxing, relaxing, maxing all cool, reading some stories outside the school. Not actually. I'm banned from doing that. Alright, so we're going to switch over to... Ooh, that's loud. Sorry, dudes. We're going to abandon the Pandora for a bit here. Well, for the remainder of the night, but that was just a lo-fi, chill, hip-hop radio station on Pandora. Pretty good, I thought. I don't know if it was too loud or good for you guys. Was it good for you? All right. So this first story When I die, do I want to be cremated or buried? Just throw me in the trash. Don't bother, just throw me right in the trash. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm donating my body to you guys. So you can have your way with it. Everybody gets a little piece. Lila, why are you in pain right now? Venikins with the 2 says, praise be to Perdip and the Buttersucks. Hey, man. Hey, man. Thank you, Venikins, for that prayer before beginning our diving deep into the paranormal here. The spooky wooky world. Type in Let's Read Funny, you'll hear about Nighthawk and Applebee's. Oh yeah, you should do that. After this. Crystal Valadir with the 2 says, hey guy, how are you? I'm great. About to kick off here with a story entitled, I Saw What Haunted My Boyfriend as a Child. Yeah, it's gonna be good. This is very strange, and at first I thought this belonged in a dream or night terror forum. Now I'm not too sure. My boyfriend and I have been together for 9 years now. I've always suffered from night terrors, however, that's not something you bring up on the first date. This was back when my boyfriend and I had been dating for a few months and had recently started sleeping together. We were sleeping in his place. I woke up in the middle of the night and noticed we were holding hands. I thought it was cute, but I noticed that his hand was so pale and thin. My boyfriend has hands like an orc, to be honest, and my eyes got used to the darkness, and I saw his hands crossed on his stomach while I was holding a third, pale hand. As I became aware of this something... Oops, shit. Oh, this is already good. As I became aware of this, something that looked like a woman with long black hair hanging over her face sat up from behind my boyfriend's form, looked at me, and laid back down. I stroked the hand with my thumb, as you do when holding hands with someone. I don't know why I did that. I just wrote it as, Oops. I don't know why I did that. I just wrote it off as dream logic. This was in the beginning of a relationship, so I didn't tell him about it because I didn't want him to think I was crazy. Years passed, and we're now living together. He is aware of my paranormal beliefs and night terrors. Out of nowhere, I came to think of that dream. Did I ever tell you about that night terror I had at your house when we just recently got together? I asked him with a little laugh. I saw someone who looked like Sadako in your bed when we slept. I almost got jelly. I joked, but he didn't laugh. He got very pale and said, "Did she try to hold your hand?" I was taken aback by his reaction. I told him I did hold her hand and even remembered stroking it with my thumb. My boyfriend then reviled. He then reviled to me. Venikins with the 2 says, I have 2. Please do Winnie the Pooh. Clap cheeks. Oh, mother. Oh. Oh, my hun. I can't do it, dude. My voice cracks every time I do. Oh. I cannot. Oh, my honeypot alerts the bees. The clap of my cheeks alerts the bees. I can't do it, dude. My voice cannot go that high anymore. I used to be able to, when I was like in middle school, I used to be able to like screech so loud that it would hurt people's ears. Now granted, that's normal, but I mean like from a distance, like, and the sound of it was like a firecracker, like a firework like going off. It's pretty sweet, if I do say so myself. You sound like Winnie the Pooh smoker voice, yeah. You're already spooked, uh-oh. My boyfriend then revealed to me that as a child, he'd have a reoccurring nightmare that a woman with long black hair and white hands tried to hold his hand, but he'd wake up in a panic before she ever got to him. He never told me about this because he just wrote it off as childhood nightmares. Now neither of us think they're nightmares anymore. Oh, okay. So I'm wondering how to end this because... Well, the follow-up for it, it's like basically that person answering a bunch of questions, but like on the actual post itself. What did it feel like? It was sleep paralysis. Was it a demon? Have you seen it since? This is so creepy. On to the dream. Would count, but if she hasn't, I suppose we'll be the first to know. I might just end it on the last line there. Now neither of us think they're nightmares anymore. What are the perks of being a member? To be honest with you, like, I still have to figure that out, kind of. It's kind of like supporting the channel, but you get a cool little, you get some emojis next to your name, and I'll have to check back in on it in case you can add like actual emojis you can use in chat, because you can do that on Twitch. But if I recall correctly, when they first started the sort of member stuff on YouTube, that wasn't necessarily an option. It just sort of, you got certain emojis next to your name, your username, to indicate that you've been a member for X and X amount of time. But I should try and add some perks. But what do you guys think would be good perks? Because I don't really know what anybody wants or what people would feel would be valuable. You know what I mean? Because I have Patreon, and on Patreon it's only $1 and you get early access to the audio. So I mean, when I'm done recording this and editing it, you know, before the video's up on YouTube, you can get access to it on Patreon. But beyond that, I don't really know what I would give members that's any different. He never told me this because he just wrote it off as a childhood nightmare. Now neither of us think they're nightmares anymore. Yeah, Garrett Wiseman, thank you. He's showing the different emojis there. Look at those. Very exciting stuff. Krebs, thank you. I'm glad you're here. An extra story a month. I'm just not sure how I would like, how I would do that. You know what I mean? Say no to private phone calls. Yeah, we should probably avoid that. The scent of carrots. That's what I could send. I'll send a ghost burp, yeah. Let's read prank calls. I remember I kind of had something like that on Patreon initially, where it was like I could do a custom, you know, voicemail for you or something like that, or I don't know, something of that nature. But it was just, I don't know, there's certain things that, like, if I provide them, I want to make sure that I can do them and they're not like individualized to each person. Because it just like would take too much time to keep up with, and I don't know if I would be able to do that. My husband and I have always been cat people. In fact, we wouldn't have been able to marry non-animal people. Pets are essential for a comfortable and civilized home, don't you think? Now, just before we got married, many, many years ago, we adopted 2 baby kitten litter mates at our local humane society on impulse. They were only 5 weeks old and had already been there for a week, far too young to be away from their mama. Tiny little shivering tuxedo kitties, a girl and a boy, huddled together and absolutely terrified. It was obvious we had to take them both. Because they were so young, they bonded to us like no other cats ever have before or since. Astrid was very much a daddy's girl, and Siegfried was a mama's boy. This was given from the start. They were always the closest of buddies, as litter mates who have been raised together usually are. Astrid was short-haired, brave as a lion, dumb as a rock, with amazing instincts. considering she had the benefit of her mother teaching her anything. Wait, oops. He looks kind of like Jack Black. Who looks like Jack Black? Do I look like Jack Black? Because that'd be pretty funny. If I look like Jack Black. I like Jack Black. He's like one of my favorites peoples. Astrid was short-haired, brave as a lion, dumb as a rock, with amazing instincts. Considering she hadn't had the benefits of her mother teaching her anything, Astrid was one of the best hunters I'd ever seen, and a ferocious scraper. Fuck, dude, scraper? What's wrong with me? Astrid was one of the best hunters I'd ever seen, and a ferocious scrapper. She could even bring down crows. Her brother was a beautiful long hair, big and sensitive and timid, despite his puffed chest posturing and loud macho bull. What the fuck is that word? Bugling? Bugling? Is that a cat term? Bugling?
Bugle.
Bugling. What the fuck? Sound a note call on a bugle. Bugling? Is he a bug? Alright. Her brother was a beautiful long-haired, big and Wait, what? Was a beautiful long hair, comma, big and okay. Her brother was a beautiful long hair, big and sensitive and timid, despite his puffed chest posturing and loud macho. Jesus, these are a lot of adjectives in this shit. Talking about cats. Alright, I'm gonna try that again. Her brother was a beautiful long hair, big and sensitive and timid, despite his puffed chest posturing and loud macho bugling. Neighborhood tomcats would try to start fights with him, and he would shriek, bringing Astrid on the run to beat up whoever was trying to mess with her brother. Siegfried, to his disgrace, wouldn't even stick around to help her. He'd run to the door and start scratching on it frantically to be let in. Astrid was an extremely expensive cat in the long term. In our early years, my husband and I were stone broke, and we racked up I don't know how many thousands of dollars on our credit cards for all kinds of Astrid disorders and mishaps. We flew her up to Seattle for radiation treatments for her thyroid. Her liver almost failed, necessitating week-long stays at the vet's. She broke all the bones in one foot once by catching it on a patio bench. She stopped eating several times and got terribly thin. My husband would grind them. Top 10 spookiest cat stories. Nothing to do with anything spooky. Orange cats are underrated. Honestly, every black cat I've ever met is like really chill. I don't know if that's means anything, but my black cat's really chill. All the other well, actually that's not true. My one friend's black cat's not chill at all. So scratch that. Black cats are 50-50. She stopped eating. Okay. She stopped eating several times and got terribly thin. My husband would grind up dry food. Make a porridge from it, and hand feed her with a syringe. Yet we never really minded all the trouble and expense because she always managed to bounce back from the brink of death, right up until her final illness. Astrid was always so single-minded and stubborn. She was an affectionate juggernaut. Siegfried died of cancer a few years before his sister, which was heartbreaking. Astrid lived to be about 15 years old. Just before her own death from cancer, we moved into a new house. Instead of a cramped, dark bungalow, our new house was bright and roomy, with big windows everywhere, and even better yet, from the standpoint of an arthritic cat who loved to play in water, it had a door less... Whoa. What the fuck? Man, this is a description about cats, man. They're going ham on the cat talk. Instead of a cramped, dark bungalow, our new house was bright and roomy, with big windows everywhere, and even better yet, from the standpoint of an arthritic cat who loved to play in water, it had a doorless walk-in shower. Astrid just loved that house, and we were so glad she got to enjoy it for a while. Our backyard lets out onto BLM land, and after we brought her home from her final visit to the vets, we buried her out under a big sage bush, which... Ashrel says, when I saw featuring Ghost Burps, I thought this was another narrator you're clapping with for real. I just now realized it was a joke. So slow. No, it's funny. Whenever I put that featuring Ghost Burps, I was thinking like that could be a YouTube channel. So I'm glad I was able to get you on that one. That's funny. Our backyard lets out on the BLM land, and after we brought her home from her final visit to the vet, we buried her out under a big sagebrush bush. God, I can't say that word. Big sagebrush bush. Oh, God. We buried her. All right. Okay. Shit. My headphone got pulled out. Fuck. Okay. We're good. Dude, there's so many tongue twisters in this freaking story. It's painful. Okay. It's like these long run-on sentences about cats. I love it, but it's also excessive and fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. Our backyard lets out on the BLM land, and after we brought her home from her final visit to the vet, we buried her out under a big sagebrush. Oh, my God. You didn't know I cussed. Oh, I say all sorts of baddie bad words, the worst baddie bad ones you've ever heard. We buried her out under a big... I can't say this word. I don't know. Big sagebrush bush. Dude, try saying that 9,000 times. We buried her out under a big sagebrush bush, which we could see from our living room. Knowing Astrid's indomitable will and rather dim intellect, plus her fondness of the new house, I guess we shouldn't have been surprised when she came back. It started out with glimpses out of the corner of the eye for both me and my husband, although we didn't mention it to one another until after the noises began. Distinctive Astrid noises would happen mainly at night when our 2 other kittens were accounted for and sleeping on our bed with us. The loud bonk of her head against the underside of the coffee table. We had that table for years, and she never did learn not to stand up under it. The thud of her jumping off the dining room table. The rustling and rummaging through the garbage bag in the kitchen looking for treats. The sharp jing of a cat toy being slapped at in passing. Then Astrid started joining us in bed. My husband would distinctly feel her weight as it landed on the bed and stomped clumsily across his legs, and we could see everything on the bed very clearly. Nothing visible was causing it. To make things more interesting, Cow Kitty, aka CK, the black spotted white feral cat we had tamed and adopted, would greet her by lifting his head in her direction and cordially saying, in that sweet way he had. One of Astrid's habits in life was wedging herself between my head and my husband's, since she was really his kitty. She'd leverage her butt against my sleeping face in order to really position herself for a thorough kneading of my What the fucking fuck? What? Oh my God. This is poetry. This is poetry about a kitty. Okay. This person loved their cat, which is great. Loving your cat is great. Okay. Daddy's neck. Also, Jan Child with the 5 says, how big is the goldfish now 3 years later? Honestly, it hasn't really changed much in the size department as far as when I first got them at the fair. But it's so funny to think that it lives for 3 years, but you yeeted when I did that. Alright. Need some bin treats. I hope when I die and become a ghost, somebody writes this story about me kneading into Daddy's neck. Alright. One of Astrid's habits in life was wedging himself between my head and my husband's. Since she was really his kitty, she'd leverage her butt against my sleeping face in order to really position herself for a thorough kneading of Daddy's neck, sometimes for hours at a time, purring the whole time. He'd get a sore neck, and I would wake up to a mouthful of cat hair. So, during one of her incorporeal... What? I don't... Incorporeal visits. I guess that's accurate to a ghost cat. It just seems like pretentious. I'm sorry.
Incorporeal.
Incorporeal. He'd get an what the fuck am I talking about? Alright. So, during one of her incorporeal visits, I woke up to hear loud purring between us, but nothing was there. Just the purring. My neck hairs tried to crawl up to the top of my head. You know that feeling you get when all your senses start to ratchet up. But then I thought, it's just Astrid. She loves us and she'd never hurt us. And I relaxed completely and went back to sleep. No big deal. In fact, some nights when the noises began while my husband and I read in bed, we'd look at each other and start laughing. And did I mention that my husband is a skeptic who's very uncomfortable with discussing the paranormal? Even he started taking it for granted. CK, too, would often peer with great concentration into our bedroom doorway from his spot on the bed. He'd murmur a question or a greeting at our visitor, and lay his head down on his paws again. Not everyone was so casual about Astrid. When we got our kitten Flashman and... Wait, what? A Flashman? What's a Flashman? A bird can live for 70 years and can talk to you. We'll always have someone to talk to. What kind of bird? What kind of bird are we talking about here, huh? This story insists upon itself. No, that's absolutely true. Like, I like it. I mean, like, I honestly, I admire people who put a lot of effort into their Reddit posts to make it, like, for me, to make it easier for me to read. But sometimes I'm just like, dude. That's all I can say is dude. Wait, fuck, where am I at? He even started taking it for granted. CK2 would often peer with great concentration to our bedroom doorway with a spot. He'd murmur a question. Oh yeah, what is this? When we got our kitten... Oh, his name is Flashman. Okay. That's a funny name for a cat. Not everyone was so casual about Astrid. When we got our kitten, Flashman, a loud, bold, brassy Maine Coon, Flashman would often stare at the bedroom doorway, fizz up, and hide between our pillows with his butt sticking out. But then again, Flashman was never properly introduced to Astrid in life like CK was. Eventually, I was concerned that Astrid didn't understand she was dead, and would be upset that we were snubbing or ignoring her. I would call out to her that we loved her, but that she needed to get going to where she needed to be. Our vet told us that our cats often come back after death in a new form to be with us again. If so, Astrid was delaying the process by spending her nights stomping around the house and bonking her head on the underside of our coffee table. I think she finally got the point. Astrid was very strong-willed and single-minded, but even she could sometimes catch a clue. Eventually, she stopped visiting. I've told lots of people about my Astrid experiences, and I can tell they don't know if I'm joking. I'm known for having a pretty dry sense of humor, or if I'm just simply crazy. However, I've read a lot of real-life accounts which indicate that our experiences with Astrid aren't so much out of the ordinary. All the same, it takes quite a special cat to come back, regardless of how much it loved its owners. It really doesn't surprise me in the least that Astrid managed it. Yeah, I'll probably save that story for the end because there's a certain tone of writing that I know that the comment section gets really annoyed with when I look at it. They're like, oh my God, that person really loves themselves or something like that. You know what I mean? And being that these are supposed to be creepy stories, I'll probably save that one because I think it's good to end a video on like a kind of a positive, kind of like a positive vibes, man. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm feeling? Let's read Funny Volume 4. Whoa, what's in that video? Does that have sea mustard? With a tongue pop. Can you say ochre? 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 Is that what you're trying to say? Ochre? I don't really know what you're asking. Well, Vanessa, it's your B-Day? I'll B-Day next month. Hopefully everything goes good and I'm still in town. Yeah, yeah. You know what's weird? Just like the concept of streaming is so strange to me. Like, I'm not even sure what I'm trying to say, but like I think about like people that I watch, like once in a while, I'll, you know, see like Tim the Tap Man or this is on Twitch, but like Tim the Tap Man, Shroud, various other big gamers, you know, and I don't know, very seldom do they talk about anything interesting at all, or like anything that's actually the trademark gargle. Oh yeah. Someone should do fan art of me just gargling. I'm not saying that they have to talk about anything because I guess they're just getting paid to play the game and that kind of thing, but like I feel like you want to do, when you join these streams, you kind of want to experience like the human nature of a person. I guess that's sort of hopefully that's why people always post like the live stream fails, because you're seeing like someone be a human in the most human sense of failing, you know, in a really funny context under the expectation that it was in front of a ton of other people or whatever, or everybody saw it, or, you know. But I don't really feel like a lot of streamers ever really like give too much details, or they don't really entertain the chat a whole lot. And I mean entertain in the sense that they give the chat the time of day. Because you see, when you look at the chat, it's, you know, it's sort of a hive mind to a certain degree, especially in the larger, you know, the larger streamers' chats, where they say like spam, you know, spam the smooky emoji in the chat, and then everybody spams the smooky emoji, and you're just like, what was the point of that? Like, you never, and then like most of the time, like they actually read the chat, and then they just get like angry at the chat about something, or like just randomly ban somebody or whatever. And I feel like very seldom do they actually have any desire to get to know any of the people that exist within that chat. And I don't know, that to me seems like such a waste of time, like just playing video games and not actually getting to know anybody of the thousands of people that watch you or whatever. It just seems like a strange perpetual circle jerk of nonsense. I don't know. But anyways, I hope that this chat offers you guys something more than emojis. Okay. This one's called My Roommate's Doppelganger. Doppelgangbanger. This past year was my senior year of college, and I was thrilled to be living with an alumni of my sorority, who I am very close with. We'll call her Abby for clarity. We'll call her Abby for clarity's sake. Abby and I weren't actually supposed to live in the apartment we ended up in. We were originally going to be living in a townhouse with 2 other girls, but they started so much drama a month before we were supposed to move in that we had to contact our landlord to find a different place within their company to live. Thankfully, we found a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom basement apartment in a quiet area off campus. The first month was fine and without incident, but as the days went by, some strange things began to happen in the apartment. One morning, Abby woke up to a kitchen cabinet open. She wasn't that concerned about it and figured that I had just forgotten to shut it the night before. The next morning, a different cabinet was open, and once again she shrugged it off. However, I went home one weekend and she woke up to find every cabinet in the kitchen wide open and the sink running. Needless to say, Abby was scared and spent the night at her boyfriend's. 2 weeks later, we were watching TV and heard the bathroom door close. I tried to calm Abby down by saying that the fan we kept in the bathroom blew it closed. However, when we went to bed, we thought we could hear someone walking around in our living room. There's no way someone broke into our apartment and hid the whole day only to come out at night and screw around with us. I was home the whole day and Abby was home from 11 in the morning on. That incident took place shortly before Christmas break, and all was calm in the apartment until February. Abby had gone home for the weekend and I was home alone, relaxing on the couch and doing homework. It was pretty late at night, so I turned on the TV for background noise and curled up on the couch to sleep. I woke up at 2:32 in the morning to see Abby walking through the front door, smiling but not saying anything. I blinked, still groggy from sleep, and asked if she was okay. She just looked at me and proceeded to take off her shoes and walk into the kitchen. Something about her didn't seem right. Like this girl looked like Abby and walked like her, but it wasn't her. I asked her again if she was okay, because it was so early in the morning for her to be coming home. Abby looked at me, smiled, and began washing something in the sink. Something inside me felt a profound sense of dread, like I was in actual danger and I needed to get away. As quickly as possible, I went to my room and locked my door. My roommate followed me because I heard someone tapping their fingers against the door. Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. It wouldn't stop. I didn't say another word because it felt like if I did acknowledge her, it gave her more strength. I know that doesn't make much sense, but that was my instinct. I curled up beneath my blankets and stared at my bedroom door, almost waiting for her to kick it in. My eyes felt heavy, and the tapping was almost like a metronome, enticing me to sleep. As I drifted to sleep, the taps seemed to slow down to a trickle. The morning after, I was exhausted. It felt like I had taken 20 Advil PM to help me sleep, and I remember everything that had happened last night. Cautiously, I left my bedroom and saw that Abby's bed hadn't been disturbed or slept in. I went to the living room and her shoes and purse weren't there. A cold feeling crept into my spine as I sent her a text asking if she had come home that night. She responded that no, she hadn't, and wouldn't be coming home for another 2 days. But I checked the sink, and the bowl that Abby had been washing had been cleaned and put away. I firmly believe I was not dreaming or hallucinating, and I know this wasn't some elaborate prank by Abby because she would never do something like that. I firmly believe something took the shape of Abby that night, and that its intentions were not good. There were a few other experiences in that apartment, but nothing so dramatic as what I went through that night. I'm sorry if this post isn't very exciting or dramatic, but I thought it was worth sharing to get everyone's thoughts. Was this a doppelganger? Boom. Read that shit all the way through. Did I make a mistake in the beginning? I don't even know. That was pretty good, though. Yeah, at least she cleaned up after herself. That's a good point. Also, I hate to, I don't know how you guys feel about when you're engrossed in a story and then you hear somebody at the end say, I'm sorry if this story sucked. Because, you probably didn't think, you may have thought it sucked, but you never once, had really contemplated it sucked until someone talks about it sucking. So, maybe I should just read that last part again. She had a ghost doppelganger that did dishes? I know, it's scary. It's actually a preferred scenario. Any Black-Eyed Kid stories? I'm not sure. There might be. I haven't actually looked through all these yet. I'm just kind of grinding. Yeah, get one who vacuums. That's a good point. the maid doppelganger. The doppelmater. You need a jello emoji. What would my jello emoji look like? There were a few other experiences in that apartment, but nothing so dramatic as what I went through that night. Was this a doppelganger? Ravioli, ravioli, give me the formioli. Samurai Master 13, I have said your name. I have completed the task. What doth you give in return? The double gangbanger. Have I seen it yet? No, I wanted to. The people that I were going to go with, they were busy with work, so I did not get to go. The jello emoji would have some thick legs, so yeah. Muscles. Muscles. Actually, I guess we could make a jello. Oh, wait. What is that? Quiche or something? Or like a nice little cake? Nice little cake you got there? Thick cake? Okay. Here we friggin' go. Yeah, we're not going to spoil it. We're not going to spoil it. Nobody spoil it. Or be banned for life. But I'm pretty excited because, like, I mean, all the actors in it. We got James McAvoy, Bill Hader, various others. Iron Man dies? No! Any decisions on the Halloween costume yet? Oh. I don't know. Maybe like the pink Power Ranger or something. I don't know. Lisa Breeze, you have no idea what's going on. Don't worry, it all makes sense in due time. You would kick your mom in the head while she slept just to hear you read me a bedtime story. Well, unfortunately, I am not going to read any more bedtime stories until you do just that. Okay? I'm waiting. Just kidding. Please don't hurt your mom. Get that on a shirt. Please don't hurt your mom. All right. I can't give you a name or the HIPAA violation, name of the company, but I also keep these things myself. I don't care if you don't believe me, blah, blah, blah. I know what I've witnessed. And that's that. Okay. Cool. Waiting hope you have a crush on me? What the heck? You're not supposed to tell your crush that you have a crush. Wait, are you? Maybe. Yeah, let's start a new trend. If you have a crush on someone, starting today, you have to tell them and just see what happens. I challenge you. I double dog dare you to tell them. And if they say no, or whatever it is, not feel the same way, who cares? There's like 10 trillion other human beings that have yet to be born that have your... Well, no, that sounded weird. What I meant to say is there's a lot of other fish in the sea, and that you are going to date all of the fish. Okay? There you go. I have been a caregiver for a few years now. I've worked in last chance houses and organizations that aid and house the mentally ill, and I've been a care provider that would go to the individual's home to clean or do personal cares. Currently, I'm overseas. Oops, not overseas, sorry. You have a general crush. You have a lieutenant crush. You have a sergeant's crush. Whoa, you're going to see the Five Nights at Freddy's movie when it comes out? You know what? As much as... Like, I don't actually hate Five Nights at Freddy's. I was not a fan of the game, like, itself. Because I just felt like it... I don't know. I'm not a fan of jump scares, per se. And I wasn't really sure how the game actually worked. It seemed like it was just, like, random chance. Hey, Blue Rooster with the 2 says, hello, Joel. Well, hello, Blue. You're my boy, Blue. Can't wait till the restraining order expires. I know, it's gonna be a good day. But Five Nights at Freddy's, the general story, I thought was pretty good. You know, like I thought they very tactfully crafted a very disturbing story into a children's media. You know, young or children to like young teens or whatever. It definitely was interesting. And I think potentially, and I remember I read some creepypastas on it when it first, you know, when my channel was first starting out. So I think the movie could be pretty good, but it also could be pretty bad too. But that's fine. They make a lot more bad movies than they make good movies, so just chalk it up to statistics. How do you approach your crush and throw that on them? Truth be told, I'm kind of a big pussy fart when it comes to that kind of stuff too, so maybe you can just, like, you know, write them a letter or something. You could just, like, write a handwritten letter that says, I like you, do you like me, check yes, or check maybe, or check get in my trunk. Savannah says, you sound like creepypasta. Thanks. Thanks, Savannah. Most video game movies suck. Dude, they do. Like the Max Payne movie? Dog shit. With you had Marky Mark and you fucked it up. And you had Max Payne, one of the coolest stories. Like, I don't even know why they waste their money on them anymore. What's like a bad... Oh my god, I'm gonna vomit thinking about that Jim Carrey freaking Sonic movie that's coming out. Like, why, what, who, why, It's just a manifestation of like every corporate entity who's never even touched the game before. Like it had to, you know, it's like playing telephone. Like you had like a kid who was 14, let's say 14, you know, the brain is relatively developed. And they have a dad who's a director, and or no, a producer even in Hollywood or something. And he whispers in his dad's ear. He says, "Dad, you should make a Sonic movie. That'd be so cool." And he's like, "Oh, all right, yeah, fuck, dude, that's sick. All right, yeah, all right, I'll figure it out. And then like he does like, you know, boomer dad research. Learns nothing, but then still attempts to make a movie. He's like, all right, you know, like blue rings, fucking rodent, get Jim Carrey on the phone. And then, you know, and then he's just like, it's like they're playing telephone with the storyline and the general concept, and it's eventually until it just turns out into a complete and utter pile of furry dog shite. Sonic looks like a pedo. He does look like, he does. And I know that they can't remember, people were saying that they like purposely made his design look bad so that like whenever they made it good, it's got a bunch of attention and stuff, you know. Got a bunch of attention on the movie or whatever. But like, that's not going to make me want to go see the movie. I'm still looking at it and wondering to myself, like, okay, he's entering into our dimension. When the fuck does Sonic do that in the game? He doesn't enter into our dimension. He's just already here, existing, collecting motherfucking rings and fighting Eggman. And like, and then there's like that one sheriff actor that you've seen in a ton of other random crap, but like he's Sonic's friend kind of. And then there's Jim Carrey, who's Dr. Eggman or Mr. Robotnik. Like, I don't know. It's just like, can you imagine being part of that? Like, that's part of your like movie repertoire, like your IMDb. Before the movie even comes out, you're just like, don't look at that one. We're not gonna even worry about the fact that I was in that. They're like, what do you mean? It was a big Hollywood flick, quite a few $1 million budget. It's got to be pretty good. Oh God, oh my God, it's Sonic, It fucking sucks. Alright. Currently, I oversee an entire branch of a home care providing company that stretches out to several small towns and one moderately sized city. In my years of working this field, I've come to notice things. I consider myself a rational person. I need hard evidence. I'm by the book. But this field of work has shown me that some things can't be explained away, which is why I'm here, because it bothers me. It bothers me. It bothers me. Jamie with the 20 big boneronos says, Jello, I have a stalker crush on you, but only stalker. You're welcome. There's no pickle emoji. Oh, yeah, dude, that would be sick. We need a pickle emoji. Thank you. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you for the 20. That's very kind of you. Thank you. And you can stalk me all day. Jake says, who did the artwork? It's dope. Yeah, that's also Robin, the editor for the upcoming documentary. He does a lot of my thumbnails. Is really, really good with 3D animation and different computer graphics. He's linked down below his Instagram, and he's currently locked in my basement, so he works for free. It's great. Just kidding. He picks, but he also attacks. Convenient perk, yeah, joining. If you join, you get a pickle emoji. That's pretty motivating, right, guys? Which is why I'm here, because it bothers me. I need other people to see something I've missed, to make sense of these encounters. I'll start with one, and then post the others, and they will not be in order. Incident number 1. I have a client who has a debilitating disease, one that attacks and eats away at his nerves. Yes, recovery is possible if you're a millionaire, but it'll never be a full recovery. He also suffers from a brain disorder that corrupts his memory, personality, and behavior. Despite all of this, he's a wonderful client. I rarely come down from my big boss tower, but when I do, it's to cover a shift with him. My first few visits with him were as expected. He could only talk about 4 topics that he could remember, and he'd repeat them throughout the shift. But he's so energetic and positive that it's a joy to be around him. He'd sometimes turn and look at me and say, "Dang, baby, you look good, I ain't lying." Then forget who I was entirely. His wife and I would share a laugh each time he did, as we think he thinks... What? His wife and I would share a laugh each time, as he did, as we think he thinks I'm from when they first met. Shit, sorry. I don't know why I can't read this sentence. His wife and I would share a laugh each time he did, as we think he thinks I'm her from when they first met. This was my usual encounter with him. On one visit, his wife mentioned that she's fighting to get him on a revolutionary treatment, not available in the States. I wished her luck. She had a sad, hopeful smile as she drew in a drag from her cigarette, nodding her head as thanks. At this point, he looked like he wasn't getting any better. He was declining and there wasn't much hope left. A month or so passes when I have to cover for his usual caregiver. I knock, open the door, go inside, and hear the two of them talking, having a real conversation. I approached them and the client looked at me and was present. He was actually looking at me and knew who I was. He then went on to tell me about his week, what he did, who he saw. He talked about this coherently. Still some stumbling, but there was flow to his sentences. They made sense, no repeats. I was blown away. He's still in his wheelchair, but the change of cognition was incredible. I looked to his wife. Mind you, I'm smiling like a moron, and I ask her, "Did you get the treatment going overseas? He's a whole new man." His wife ashed her cigarette, looked at me, and smiled like I've never seen her smile. The kind of smile a kid gets when winning a goldfish at the fair. "Nope," she said with a pop of the lips. "He got hands laid on him." What? Now, I'm not religious. I was once a Satanist, raised Roman Catholic. Unfortunately, bad memories there. and determined that it's all just a coping method to comfort us when faced with ours or others' mortality. Yet what she told me next has now become a haunting thought in the back of my head. We were at church and the preacher man came up to us and put his hands on his... Oh shit, sorry. We were at church and the preacher man came up to us and put his hands on him and started blessing him. Everyone was singing, praying, and then the preacher finished and gone back up to the altar. And I swear to you, my man looked at me and said, "I want to go to that altar." And he got up from his chair and walked 25 steps there and back. Everyone was crying. He hadn't walked since 2016, and at that point I tuned her out. Like I've stated, I don't believe in that stuff, and I felt like she was in need of something good in her life, so she spun this story to me. I smiled, I nodded my head, and I got to my task with her husband. 3 years of no walking, then all of a sudden walking? Because he was touched by a holy man and in the way the church doesn't try to cover up? I call nonsense. So, I'm doing my task with him and he starts talking to me. I mean, really talking about things he remembers from his past. Things I never heard him. Things I never heard him talk about. I'm just going along with it. Trying not to... Oh, God. Trying not to think too much about what his wife said. Then he turns to me and says, as he usually says it, "Man, I gotta poop. Wheel me into that bathroom, baby. I gotta go." I wheel him in towards the toilet, put the brakes on the wheelchair, and was about to help him when he suddenly stood up from his chair, took a few steps, turned, and sat on the toilet. I could only gape. I had no idea what I just saw. This man, the last I saw him, was on a steady decline. He couldn't get up from his wheelchair without major assistance, yet he popped up out of that thing like he's been faking it this whole time. He saw my face and told me, "Yeah, I've been walking. I'm doing good, baby." I don't know, guys. I really don't know. This didn't convert me. Honestly, Christ would have to show himself to me to get me believing, yet I can't explain this. There's no cure for this disease. People in this state don't just progress positively. Boys, that's a funny name. Boyness. It's like the name Magnus Magnusson. People in this state don't just progress positively like that without new and aggressive treatment. I'm still bothered and shaken by this. Honestly, I wish this was the weirdest experience. Wait, oh, there's more? There's more? I'm still bothered and shaken by this. Bath bubbles. Hell yeah, dude. Stop saying daddy. He's looking for his dad. Let him be. But also, don't spam the chat. That's a specific rule we have. You can't spam. Alright, something is lurking in my neighborhood. A dirty perv in a wheelchair. Not much else you can do when you're stuck in the chair. Believe me, I should know. I've been in this chair for 200 years. Alright. We're doing it. We're getting it done. Do the best James Charles impression. Oh, that's funny. I've never actually seen a James Charles video before. But He seems like a chill dude. Am I right, guys? I actually have no idea why people reference him. Like, I don't really know what went down with him other than he was a creepazoid of sorts, but apparently Pro Jared was way more creepier than he was because it seemed as if though James Charles didn't really lose subscribers. I don't know. Shrek. Shrek is also daddy. Lawyer will be in contact. If you spam the chat, they will come to your door. Alright. Sister calls me Shrek. Get out of me swamp. Me swamp ass. It's not a good Shrek impression. Who you look like? Who I look like? Alright, I look like, well, apparently someone said Jack Black, but I actually don't agree with that. In fact, I disagree. I look like Jeffree Star. That's a good point, yeah. I'm actually a clone of Jeffree Star. Direct clone. You think Joel is tired? Joel's always tired. Joel just be working too hard, you know what I mean? And also I was out in the sun today. Did you ever go out in the sun and it's supposed to give you life, but it actually sucks it out of you? Yeah, what's up with that? Alright, I'm going to read this first paragraph, not actually as narration, but just to see if it actually makes any sense to where I should start. Okay, so to start, I'm fairly skeptical of the paranormal, so I don't really know what to believe, but the only stories that are even a little similar to what I experienced all seem to be paranormal, so give some backstory. My street neighbor are pretty quiet, especially at night, due to the number of young families and elderly couples that live on my street, which makes staying up in the early hours of the morning more relaxing and also a bit cooler, knowing that I'm also like the only person on the street that's awake. Okay. I'm gonna pass out. Jack Black was an inside joke from Sea Mustard. Oh, okay. Dude, Sea Mustard's so funny. Like, dude, it makes me want to write funny stories because those Sea Mustard stories are funny as fart. Like, all the farts. Take every fart that you've recently let out of your body or heard someone let out and you've laughed at and multiply that by at least 100 farts. That's how funny Sea Mustard is. Do I have tattoos? I don't have tattoos. I'm one of those people that I'm apprehensive on even buying graphic tees and wearing them around, let alone getting a tattoo on me body, other than the one that's on my lower back that says, "Abandon all hope, ye who enter here." The only thing is that so to give some backstory, my street neighbor, what? My street/neighbor, oh, neighborhood. So to give some backstory, my neighborhood is pretty quiet, especially at night due to the number of young families and elderly couples that live on my street, which makes staying up in the early hours of the morning more relaxing and also a bit cooler knowing I'm most likely the only person in the street that's awake. The only thing is that I've had some creepy experiences, like hearing noises or even seeing a few drug deals that most of that can be chalked. Oh my lord. Okay. The only thing is that I've had some creepy experiences, like hearing noises or even seeing a few drug deals, but most of that can be chalked up to living next to a big forest with lots of wildlife or just some sketchy neighborhoods. But for the past week, I've been trying to find a logical explanation for the strange events that keep occurring. It started at 2 a.m. last Tuesday morning. I was just sitting in bed on my phone with earbuds in, something I do almost every night, when I began to hear whistling coming from out my window. I took my earbuds out and began listening to the whistling, trying to come up with an explanation. Normally I'm not scared by anything in my neighborhood this late, and to be honest, I get more excited that something is happening and I'm there to witness it, but this time felt different. I wanted so badly to get up to look out my window, but I was almost paralyzed with fear. I don't know what came over me, but every minute that went by of this whistling, I felt the pit of my stomach growing larger. It went on for almost an hour, and for the entire hour I waited for the whistling to start a tune or a song I could actually look up, but it just kept whistling the same note in a strange pattern. It would whistle one note for a good minute, then take a break for another 30 seconds, and then return its 1-minute whistle, until about 20 minutes in, when the whistles got shorter and closer together, only to return to the original pattern after about 10 minutes. What was even more strange was that whatever it was pacing in front of mine and my neighbor's house, up until it stopped when it retreated back down the other side of the street. As I heard it leave, I almost immediately felt the pit of my stomach subside, and while I was still confused, I decided I should just go to sleep before I scare myself even more. So the next day I asked my parents and even some of my friends that lived close by if they had ever heard anything like that. Everyone assumed it was an animal, which made me feel a lot better, but I wanted a definite answer of what I heard. I stayed up for hours that night researching types of animals that were local to my area and the noises they made. I didn't find anything that matched. This only left me more frustrated that I had no clue what it was, so I continued staying up in hopes that I would hear it again and that this time I would look out my window to see it, but with my luck, I never heard the whistling again, except lots of other weird things have been happening. After the whistle, I began hearing someone or something walking around in mine and my neighbor's driveways, and sometimes even yards very late at night. But whenever I go to check, I can't see anything. Then about 2 nights ago, when I swear I saw a figure of a person lurking behind my neighbor's car. Then the night after that, I saw what looked like a flashlight in the woods near my house, and whatever it was that was holding the flashlight was running out of the woods. And then again, last night, I swear I saw a person crouching near my neighbor's car just looking around. I thought I was done researching because I couldn't find anything about animals, but now I've begun researching any stories even similar to mine, hoping that I'm either not alone, or even better, someone has the answer to the strange experiences, because I would like to start sleeping at a normal time again and not be worried about either a stalker or a poltergeist coming to get me in my sleep. Billy, that's really the only way to go about it, is you just have to say it 3 times and make it happen. Chat, that would be a good merch, just called like Chat is Thirsty. In fact, I'm thirsty, and I'm taking a legitimate, real drink. Hey, Bree, good night. Sleep well. Sleep well. Angie Fitzis says, my friend told my crush I liked him, and he said he would rather die and know when he has to sit next to me, he sits on the edge of his seat. Oh, I'm sorry. That's rude of him to say that. Diet Dr. Pepper? No, that is something... That's a name I have not heard in ages. Do you? And I whoop. And I whoop. Also, click that like button, guys. I think that gets more people in here. Granted, it's pretty late. It's like 1 a.m. on the East Coast of the United States of America. And everybody might be sleeping on a Saturday like a bunch of losers. Am I right, guys? Who's sleeping? Oh, sorry. Good night, Hasta. Sleep well. You remember me saying I was a disembodied voice? I still am, technically. When I was 12 years old, we moved to a house on the outskirts of Los Angeles County, not far from Knott's Berry Farm in Disneyland. This was in the early 80s. We lived there for a year, and the house was completely haunted. Here's a list of a bunch of things that happened. 1. Every night, after everyone went to bed, you could hear someone digging with a shovel outside the window, but there was no one there. If you turned on the lights, the sound would stop, but only for a few seconds, maybe 30 at the most, and would then resume. If you went outside to check, the sound would be gone and there was no one there. Come back in, and after a few minutes, the digging would continue. 2. I had OCD as a kid and would put all my toys in their place at night. On several occasions the following morning, they would be scattered all over the floor as if someone had played with them during the night. I would yell at my younger siblings, thinking they had done it. My mother would tell me I was the last one to go to sleep and the first to wake, so it wasn't them. 3. Every night without fail at 11 p.m., outside the upstairs window, you could hear children yelling and playing in the backyard. If you looked out the window, it was pitch black and there was no one there. You could also see all the neighbors' yards, and there was nobody anywhere. One night I listened carefully to try to make sense of what they were saying and yelling, and I realized that they were playing kickball. Kick it, run, go, 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 yeah. Stuff like that. This happened every night. On more than one occasion I went downstairs and opened the door to the backyard. The sound was gone. You couldn't hear it from downstairs, only upstairs. 4. My grandmother came to spend the night once. She got so scared she never came back. She slept in the upstairs spare bedroom and said she heard noises outside the window. When she looked out the window, down below she would see a shadow walking up to the front door, but no one was there. No one was casting the shadow, apparently. 5. My aunt spent the night once in the same bedroom, and something similar happened. Noises outside the window. When she looked down below, she saw lights moving and shadows moving towards the front door, but no one was there. Like my grandmother, she struggled to explain what it is she heard and saw. She never came back to visit. 6. The house rented cheaper than any other house in the area. Every time the landlord would come back to pick up the rent, she would ask if everything was okay. Did we have any problems? It was always odd. Parents would invite her inside the house, and she would always refuse. 7. The neighbors to the right of us were very strange. They were an older couple. The man would never say a word, not one, not even hi, but the wife was always extra nice. She would ask the same things as the landlord. Is everything okay? Are you guys doing good? She seemed to know something. 8. We were playing with one of the neighborhood kids once, running around. We all ran back to our house, and just as we went through the front door, he stopped in his tracks. We said, "What happened?" He said he wasn't allowed in the house. His parents forbade him. Why? Because he had spent the night once with the kids who lived in the house before we did a year earlier. During the night, the mother of the kids who used to live there started screaming and grabbed the kids and ran out of the house. As they ran, they all saw a blue mist or ghost with a distinct pattern of a head and shoulders. 9. The only person in my family to see the blue mist ghost was my father, who said it walked down the stairs and directly into his closet. His description was identical to that of our friend who refused to come inside the house. 10. The last day we were in the house, we had finished putting the things in the U-Haul truck and we were cleaning up the last of things. I remember we were eating pizza too. As we were getting ready to walk out of the house, my father said something like, "Finally getting out of this miserable house," or something similar. Basically, he insulted the house. There was a wall panel 3 or 4 feet to the side of him next to the kitchen. The panel shook and came off the wall and hit him over the head. The panel shook and came off the wall and hit him over the head. Hard. We all saw this, and it happened right in front of me. What's interesting about all of this is the fact that none of us really talked much about it while we lived in the house. Speaking for myself, I always thought I was imagining things and tried to make sense of what I saw and heard. My younger sibling did the same. For example, the kids playing outside the window. I thought, what are those crazy kids doing playing so late at night, and why every night? I didn't know the answer, but thought there must be an explanation. Being about 12 or 13 years old at the time, I guess I wasn't old enough to figure out that something was very, very wrong. It wasn't until we moved out of the house that we all started comparing stories. And it was always, "What? You too?" My parents were the only ones that knew something was wrong, but they didn't want to scare me and my siblings. We were in a bad economic situation at the time, and apparently we could not move out right away. There's a lot more that happened, but these are probably the ones that stand out the most. We would always hear doors slam upstairs and wonder who was up there, or did the wind do it? One of us would go check and all the doors would be open. But we heard a door slam shut. Our cat was a happy-go-lucky animal, but he would all the time freeze at the stairs when least expected, stare intently, and hiss with its fur standing on end. He would always hiss while looking at the top of the stairs. As kids, we would think the cat was crazy. Years later, we realized the cat was actually seeing something, especially since the cat never hissed again in its entire life. Wait, fuck. Thanks for listening. I guess it's kind of therapeutic to get it all out. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Especially since the cat never hissed again in its... Especially since the cat never hissed again in its life once we moved out. Okay. What's the next one? An experience from my past. The kids who wouldn't play with me. Ah. Has anyone here had any ghost stories? Cowbell says mistake counter. That's okay. I guess we forgot to count mistakes. Ugh. Asherella, your last apartment was haunted? What the frick? What happened, dude? Dude, tell me what happened. I must know. Do. Okay. What's Pradeep complaining about? He's not. He's not in the room currently. Wait. Who was attacked by a... Oh, Don Smith. You were attacked by a spirit, really? What happened, Don? Holly says she heard shuffling and footsteps in a room that no one could possibly be in. Yeah, that's creepy. Jenna says it's 3 a.m. and I'm singing, burning, and itching. Is that related to ghosts, or is that just happening right now? It's easier believing in cat ghosts than real people ghosts. Seems like all the animal ghosts are always nice, which is good. Maybe that just says a lot more about ghosties. Nisa says, I had a ghost sit behind me in bed. Saw her in the mirror. Very freaky. Oh, no, dude, that is freaky. That's actually like one of the scariest things. Not ever, but like, you know, top 5 scary anime stories. Wolves fan says, I had a ghost story. I saw a ghost woman at the hospital. What the hell? That is scary. You guys need to write these and put them on the subreddit, which if you do have a story, as you can see on the screen, it says, have a story, ? Send it to reddit.com/r/letsreadofficial and potentially hear your story read on a channel, on a future video. Jake is hearing a ghost cat right now. Oh, no. Pradeep is a ghost. Pradeep better not be a ghost. We've got too much work to do. He can't be dead. Oh, you know what I forgot? Did you ever do weird shit when you were a kid? So if you turn your hands into sort of like claws, I don't know if claws is the right word, but you sort of cup your hands, not necessarily cup them together, but you turn them like as if though like your fingers are claws and you're going to grasp a doorknob, but you're not grasping a doorknob or anything, and they're pretty tense. And then if you've ever watched like Dragon Ball Z when you were younger, you know how they like throw an energy ball out of their hands like as they're kind of like near each other. So just take your hands and rotate them, like oscillate them, or kind of in front of each other, like in opposing circles, like you're building up a big energy ball in your hands. And eventually, if you do it fast enough, you'll actually start to feel kind of like a strange fluctuation of air going through your hands, and it'll actually feel kind of like an energy ball, but you can't actually throw anything because the second you stop, the flow of air just stops. So that was something I remember figuring out when I was a kid, and I was like, holy shit, I'm about to throw a fucking Kamehameha wave at this motherfucker. And then it turns out you don't have any special powers or anything like that, so that was briefly sad. Okay. Let me first preface this with a note. This isn't being shared to be analyzed or to have someone pop up and say it was demons, ghosts, or otherwise. That's, oh shit, don't read that part. When I was rather young, in second grade in fact, my family lived in the country, out in the middle of nowhere in Mississippi. There were no children for me to play with, and I tended to get a bit more lonely than you'd expect. When we were in the process of moving out there, parents had this double-wide trailer. There was one incident that took many years to be certain I hadn't imagined it. While on one expedition to the plot where my family were going to put the trailer, my mother needed to make a stop to use the restroom. With no gas stations for a good 10 miles, Dad pulled the truck down this dirt road looking for a place to stop. There, maybe 200 to 300 yards from the two-lane road, we found what looked to be an abandoned gymnasium from a school. Dad decided to use that place as the bathroom, and we headed in. I don't recall much about the building, though one thing always stuck out in my mind. Near the doors we entered through was this rather massive pile, or massive to my child mind, of clothing. I remember after doing his business, my father stood at the foot of it looking up at the clothing. He seemed to be thinking of something, but he never said anything about it. Several weeks later, with the trailer in place, we moved out there and the gym was largely forgotten by me. However, that didn't stop weird things from happening. Well, not weird in the sense of stuff moving around or anything of that sort. Weird sounds. Within a month or so of living there, I was playing on the front porch when I heard laughter. Now, before I go further, let me clarify as to where we lived then. The trailer was a good 100 feet back from a dirt road, and across the road was the home of an elderly man I'll call O. Behind his house was a rather extensive stand of pine trees that reached right down to the two-lane highway, probably a distance of 500 to 600 feet total between where I was and the highway. In any case, as I sat on the front porch my father had built, playing with some of my toys, I kept hearing laughter. Not one child's laughter either, but several. It sounded to my ears like 5 or 6 kids were playing somewhere off behind where O lived. Not having anyone to play with, I remember wondering where those kids were and if they'd play with me. Walking up to the road, I could tell that the kids seemed to be playing in the woods as their laughter came and went. After a moment, I called out to them that I wanted to play too. As soon as I said that, the laughter cut off. Dead, no pun intended, silence. One moment there was laughing and fun, and the next it was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. I decided that I'd scared the kids off and went back inside. This happened several times, and eventually I just gave up. I'd hear the kids laughing and playing, but they never seemed to get closer. After a couple of times of this, I remember telling my mother, and she got this really odd look on her face before telling me that she didn't want me playing out front any longer. We lived there another year or two before we moved, and I largely forgot the experience. It wasn't until many years later when the story came up again in conversation with my parents. That's when I found some of the story out, and personal investigation told me the rest. My mother said that the reason she'd reacted that way was because she heard a rumor that the area we moved to was haunted. She didn't have all the details, but felt it was tied to the old gym. All she could say, or would say, was that, quote, something bad had happened, and she was afraid. After my parents passed away, I kind of forgot the story again. It always stuck in the back of my head as just something weird, but that's it. Eventually, one bored night, I happened to stumble across the website for the church we had attended. On a lark, I shot an email off to the pastor asking if there had been a gym near where I remembered. I didn't expect to hear back. 2 months later, I checked my email to find that, yes, he had actually replied. And here's what he related to me. There had been a gym that once stood near where I described, though it had long since been torn down. The gym had been part of a private school which had stood there for roughly, sorry, fucked that up. Fuck, I was so close. Me almost getting to beat a story as if it's a level. Me almost finishing a story and then suddenly not near the end is like super blue balls. That'd be a good YouTube channel. Blue balls. The gym has been part of a private school which had stood there from roughly 1900 to about 1979 or 80. Early in the spring of that year, a tornado had gone through and demolished most of one wing of the school, in doing so killing a number of students. The building had collapsed, burying the students under the rubble, resulting in the death of a number of them. I think between 10 and 15 students. After this, it was decided to close the school. As they were demolishing it, they cleaned out clothing from lockers in various places, dumping it in the gym in the tall pile while I... Wolves fan one said, after this, I decided, ever thought of doing fan mail? I thought about it. I mean, it would be neat, but I'm also deathly terrified of it too because I just watched this German streamer who opens up fan mail? What the fuck am I saying? Fan mail? Is that the right word? Fan mail. Why does that sound weird? Anyways, yeah, he opened it up and it was a literal human shit in the thing that he opened up. Oh, it was so funny. I mean, it was disgusting, but it was so funny because like it like got on his fingers and stuff. Oh my god, dude, it was so bad. Oh, he was like starting to vomit, but it was like, and he was like salivating, like it was like drool dripping down his face. Not like because he wanted to eat, not like he wanted to eat it or anything like that. I don't think he wanted to eat the shit, but it was because he was almost about to throw up, and like, oh, I felt so bad for him, dude. Yeah, Jensen says it sounds like good. It was the best fan mail I ever got. Oh shit, yeah, it's fucking insane, actually. And you just think like, man, some people are just like literal shit human beings. Calamari, blue waffle balls. Raw. That is something that I hope you just keep to yourself. That's why I don't open the fan mail, because I would hate for any sort of nipples. Don't send me any nipples, okay? Boyness, I don't even know what that means. That is a weird... I don't even know what that means. Chocolate starfish in the hot dog flavored water. Dave Roy, kids listen to this too. Well, if they're your kids, I suggest you cover their ears, my friend. Because things are about to get poopy. After this, it was decided to close the school. As they were demolishing it, I just read a story about a tornado destroying kids, so I don't think me talking about getting shit as fan mail will hurt a kid's psyche. Anyways. After this, it was decided to close the school. As they were demolishing it, they cleaned out clothing from lockers in various places, dumping it in the gym in the tall pile I remember seeing. The gym had been left standing because it was hoped that one of the local churches might use it, but given what happened there, well, it ended up being left abandoned. Curiously, the property behind O's house had also been part of the school's property at one time, being used by the students as a kind of playground area. This did explain why O kept digging up old toys, mostly metal trucks and such, which he gave to me. Looking back, I've come to the conclusion that what I had been hearing was in some way tied to the old school and the loss of life, though I also wonder if, in some way, it was my childhood imagination running wild. That's probably one of the problems I have with the story. For all I know, my parents could have mentioned what happened at the school at some point, and I overheard it, and my lonely state of mind and imagination just ran wild. Knucklehead with a 2 says, I like tater tots. Hell yeah, dude. I had some tater tots made out of vegetables, like broccoli made base or something like that, and then on the inside it was like cheese and cauliflower. It tastes the same pretty much, especially if you just put salt on them, but it was really, really good. And apparently healthier for you because it's not just like a straight up potato starch. This is a really funny title, I don't know why. Paranormal stuff in Mexican house. Okay. Hi, I'm from Mexico, and this story is the story of my old house. Okay. Let's do it. The broccoli cheese ones are good. Those do sound good. Jake, you're triggered nonstop, bro. You're the king of trigger. When I was 2 years old, my parents found a house at a very good price, so they decided to buy the place. There's nothing much to say about the first years since I was too little, but my parents and my older brother told me stuff that happened the first months. At the end of the first week in the house, my mom woke up and found that the stairs had lines colored with crayons. She blamed my brother, and when they cleaned the stairs... Oh, and then they cleaned the stairs. Okay. Slapped hams. Slap them hams, baby. She blamed my brother. Okay. She blamed my brother, and then they cleaned the stairs. 2 days later, the stairs had colored lines again. This time my mom threw away the crayons. After 1 week without crayons, my mom found the stairs with black lines painted on them. That was when she began to think that something really weird was happening. Then in the next weeks, the lights began to turn on and off by themselves. The same happened with things like the microwave, blender, and televisions. My parents investigated the house, but it was difficult back then without the internet. After some months, a previous owner told them the true. They told me the true. After some months, a previous owner told them the truth. A woman and her son were murdered there by robbers. My parents were unable to sell the house, so we stayed there, and a Catholic priest blessed the home. Bless the home's shite. Are tater tots potatoes? That's the age-old question right there. Hopefully, I don't know if we'll ever be able to answer that. Catholic priest. Yo, Alec, DJ Chefy, DJ Chef Boyard, Alec, Chef Boyard DJ. Oh, that would be a good one. There you go. For your future DJ career, Chef Boyard DJ. Boyness says, what do I like watching? Well, honestly, I'm kind of like, I like watching people play video games on Twitch, but I don't put the volume on usually. Sometimes I do to listen to what they're saying, but I'll just listen to people talk about politics in the background, or like philosophy, or just like random information about stuff like documentary stuff. I just like to like passively absorb information while my eyes are pulling in from, like I feel like there's two parts of my brain working at one time. where it's like one's absorbing like information that could potentially watching paint dry. I just love staring at my wall, dude. It's so sick. Like one part of me is watching a video game and gathering something from that, and then another one is just watching people talk about interesting topics. And it's like, I don't know if those are two different parts of your brain, but it kind of feels like it. Jamie says, someone told me in elementary that tater tots were fish eyeballs and ruined them for me until I decided not to be stupid. That's pretty funny. Just like deep fried fish eyeballs. The power of Christ compels you. Jules Warren says, how late am I? You actually are not too... Well, you're late in the fact that we're about halfway done, but I've been going for almost 2 hours so far, so we probably have quite a bit to go since I'm doing like 13 stories tonight. We on that marathon, bruh. How long does it take me to make a video? Well, normally I probably would have only done about 7 stories, but since, this one is quite a bit longer because of the more stories and because paranormal stories don't really do as well on my channel. I'm trying to like entice people to go watch it because of the length and height of the stories. So I imagine that this will probably be over an hour long of stories, maybe an hour and a half or something like that. And people will like be like, oh my god, dude, that's a long video, I must click it. And then they click it, and guess what? Now you're addicted to ghost stories, dude. Haha. Jebaited. Buenos, you've been watching for a year. Nice. Well, happy anniversary. Billy, you did an exorcism? On what? On who? This stream is longer. Have I ever done a face revile? I have. On my Discord. Discord. If someone wants to link the Discord, that would be dope. Why don't paranormal videos do well? You can check. I mean, you can go look at the views and just see, like, paranormal videos compared to the stalker stories or something of that nature, like, and even the true scary stories, like, they just don't do super great. And then what ends up happening is YouTube kind of punishes you. Jamie, I said 13. Oh yeah, thank you, Robin. There's the Discord, Oh yeah, and on the Discord I have a selfies tab where you can, if you go to the pinned one, you can see my face. But yeah, like, and then if a video doesn't do well, it kind of like hurts your channel a little bit on the next video, like where it doesn't push the video out to as many subscribers. Like you might, unless you guys have that notification bell clicked, it might not push it out to you. So be sure to hit that if you haven't already. It really helps to at least be alerted of the existence of a video. Emmy B with the 6423 and the $5. I got hurt at work, so I got to come home, and now I'm happily listening to the full stream. Oh no, you got hurt at work? What the hell? It was a ghost. But I hope you're feeling okay. Thank you for the 5. I'm sorry you're hurt. Jeez. We will make you feel better. We will heal you. Stay true. Says paranormal videos don't do as good because a lot of people don't believe in it, and also don't believe most people who believe in them are not scared by them. Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. I think that plays into it, is that it's kind of a niche thing. Dude, punch that notification bell right in the freaking face. Yeah, I remember this one guy. He did a video, like, you guys probably remember that there was like a video that was viral. It was like so boring, but it was like some dude's video where it was like, why is there 6 million black balls in this giant thing behind me? And it was just like a bunch of black balls, and the guy was just like, whoa, what are these? And it like went viral, and then like the guy did a long presentation afterwards discussing wait, YouTube just got fined for marketing to kids and demonetized all kid channels? What? What? Wait, what? What? Demonetize all kids' channels? What does Ryan Toys have to say about this? Ryan, no. Ryan's toy review, my favorite channel. Let's see. Hopefully he has a video that says, well, 17 hours ago, 500,000 views. Ryan sings the Boo Boo Kids songs and pretend play nursery rhymes. Ryan's parents exploit him for money. I don't really see any. I guess like his channel's so big, like why they wouldn't be able to even touch him, kind of thing, without massive backlash from his audience between the ages of 2 and 5. A whole army. It'd be like Coney 2012 all over again, but here instead of Africa. Philip DeFranco talked about it a few days ago. Interesting. It's part of a new Google lawsuit. Is it related to the antitrust stuff? Like, I thought it was all related to like, I thought that was more related to politics or like the censoring of political channels or something like that. It's part of the Google lawsuit with the FCC. Holy shit, dude. I briefly had a kid's channel on YouTube and it was retarded. It was bad. It was so stupid, but it was fun. It was funny. But I remember like I almost gave up the Let's Read channel way back in the day. And it's so funny because so many of those videos I get notifications because it still exists out there. Wink, wink. Don't go looking for it though. Streisand effect. But basically, it's so funny. Like so many of the videos have gotten. I have a kid. No, I don't have a kid. I said I had a kid's channel that I did. It was. Billy, no, I don't. Like, I don't know where you. Anyways, no, it was a kid's channel. It was entertainment for children, with like skits and acting and stuff like that. And it was so stupid. But I just remember like some of it was like along the days of like the Spider-Man and Elsa stuff. If you recall that. Now, granted, we weren't like the pervert ones, like some of the weird ones out there that ruined it for everybody. But I was glad I kind of gave it up because we kind of like put some effort into it and then gave it up. And because it was not working out. Like, because some of those channels like would make videos and then they would get like 21 million views or something like that. And we were just like, wow, those guys are probably rich now or something, you know what I mean? Like, we're just like freaking rolling in it. But then all of those, Spider-Man type videos, oh, boys are screaming outside. What the hell? Withered Fox. I cannot tell you the name. It's literally so embarrassing that it's hilarious. It's actually hilarious. But it's just not worth it. It's not worth it. But yeah, so I'll get random emails once in a while saying like that this video has been taken down because it's not within YouTube's guidelines. But I think specifically because of like the way the algorithm works. Once something in the communities get flagged, once something gets flagged, everybody suffers from it. So like I just feel bad that these kids channels, I always kind of said like YouTube's like biggest growing market for the longest time was the ages were the ages of like 2 to 7, and they just let, as far as the making money on YouTube and that kind of thing, they just let advertisements run. Like they don't have ad block or all that kind of stuff that would hinder people's advertising revenue or whatever. So it's just like they sit there and passively like let things roll on, repeat or whatever. But so I'm very blessed to have, I'm really thankful that all you guys are here supporting the channel. I'm really excited, happy. I made so many friends through YouTube too, which I had otherwise not had. Internet friends are honestly some of my favorite people to interact with because it's just like everybody's kind of a weirdo like me, you know what I mean? So I'm thankful that the YouTube thing worked out. I'm thankful I didn't go down the wrong direction, so to speak, and I'm also happy that I was able to take the YouTube channel, put it onto podcasts, because that's been opening a lot of opportunities as well. So yeah, let's yeet this story out. Sorry for rambling and exposing myself for being a spooter man. Jensen says, YouTube got in trouble because advertisers were putting ads on kids' channels, and you can't market to kids under 14. Wait, but what about like Nickelodeon and Nick at Night? Or not Nick at Night, but like Nick Jr. You remember Nick Jr.? Does Nick Jr. still exist or something like that? That's the reason? Am I friends with other narrators? Yeah, I'm friends with a lot of the other narrators. In fact, one of them's here right now, Mr. Jensen. He's a mod. He's a moderator. Yeah, I don't even know. That's sad. That's sad to think because, like, Jake, I want to read your message just because it seems like you would have something here. For some reason it got blocked. I don't know why. It's basically about Google collecting viewer data from kids, which apparently is illegal. So Google will pretend all viewers on those kids' channels are kids and aren't collecting data equals no ads, no money. Wait, so Google will pretend all viewers on those kids' channels are kids and aren't collecting data. Okay, so they can't collect data on kids under... Oh, that's... Well, then me saying that their biggest growing market is from 2 to 7, I guess is technically illegal data. Don't tell anybody about that. And using that to determine that was kids watching the videos and putting ads on them. Ah, okay. So they can't like utilize that data to then specifically hone in those advertisements to children. Which, can you imagine, like, have you seen some of the shit kids watch on YouTube? It's like the worst stuff ever. Like, people it went from like people putting production value into like making, you know, Spider-Man, like, or, you know, Batman cartoons and stuff like that, with, or even like Blue's Clues, you know, it probably took some production effort, but now children will watch anything. They'll just watch someone playing with toys, which, hey, good on them, because, you know, whatever. I mean, if someone consumes it, but I guess at the same time it is pretty, at least outside of the law, or amoral to, you know, start to hone in on advertising to kids. Dude, that's the weirdest thing. That's like one of the strangest, most nefarious type things to me, is like collecting data on children so that you can start indoctrinating them on the products that they're going to be consuming for the remainder of their life, based on some sort of strange nostalgic effect that you could create at a younger age. That's pretty scary, honestly. Data that's the future devil right there. Knucklehead with the 2 says, y'all people care about me. We do care about you, Knucklehead. Thank you for the 2. Did I miss? Oh, yes. Katrina Turtles with the 2 says, rar, 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 rar. Rar, Katrina, rar. Well, well, that was pretty enlightening, guys. Thank you for making me aware of that whole situation. Yeah, that's very interesting. So, alright, sorry about that. Let's get back to this story. My parents were unable to sell the house, so we stayed there, and a Catholic priest blessed the rooms. After this, the paranormal activity decreased, but we lived in the house for another 12 years. So let me talk about my experiences. When I was 12, I was eating with a friend. We were in different angles. I was looking at the TV, and he was looking to the kitchen, and then the conversation went like, my friend saying, I didn't know you have a little brother. I responded, yeah, he's a baby. He's upstairs right now. And my friend said, I'm talking about the kid that was running in the kitchen. What? The kid? By then, almost every member of my family, except for me, had seen the kid. This is how we refer to a ghost that looks like a kid. I turned around, and he was there running to the laundry room. So I immediately went there, but I didn't find anyone. My friend got really scared, so we ended up going to his house. 2. When I was 14, I used to wake up in the night with screams, and then I began to listen to the conversations of children or older people in the background. The first time I thought it was my brother, but when I turned on my lamp, I saw him sleeping, and there was no one else in the room. Thing like this. Okay. Things like this happen a lot of times. I don't know the exact number, maybe more than 15 times. 3. When my little brother was 5, I was babysitting him in the house alone, and he asked me, "Can I play with the other kid?" "Which kid?" "The kid in your room." I went there, and the toys were on the floor, and no one was there. My brother told me he saw him when he got upstairs. There are many, many more stories that come from my parents, brothers, and sisters. To be honest, I don't believe in ghosts or paranormal stuff, and sometimes I search stories to help me to believe, but most stories seem like nonsense compared with what I have lived. So still, I am pretty skeptical. Wait, I don't understand. That guy just went through the fact that he's seen multiple ghosts, and he's also doing a whole paragraph devoted to the fact that he doesn't believe in paranormal. Like, I don't understand what the fuck that's about. Alright, Lils with the $5 says, "I'm having more fun listening to your stream than being at the club. I got dragged too. You're that awesome." Well, thank you. Yeah, clubs are stupid. I don't, like, dude, we need to figure out as a society, like, more fun shit to do than, like, drinking. Like, I mean, drinking certainly can amplify certain scenarios, but, like, I mean, maybe it's because I'm a guy, and I'm kind of a gamer, you know? And maybe my, like, gaming habits don't necessarily lend itself very well to going to a club and, like, drinking, like, expensive drinks and dancing till you're sweaty. I just don't see, like, the sort of, like, Pavlov dog motivation to go do that over and over again. So I'm really, what do you guys think? What's something that, like, we as a society should do differently for the masses to go do? You know what I mean? Like, we as a large society, like, what's something we all could go do consistently, or like a new fad you could start that would keep people interested in leaving their house? I don't really know what I'm trying to say, but you get the idea. Instead of clubbing, do this. Billy Amber with the 2 says, "Let's have kids and we can make a YouTube channel." Well, then it would be demonetized, so we'd already be in hot water right out the gates. So that sounds like fun, but also a terrible plan. I'm sorry, Billy. I do appreciate the consideration, though. Subscribe to Let's Read. Subscribe to Let's Read. All right, I don't know where to end this story on, but I went there, and my old toys were on the floor, but no one was there. My brother told me he saw him when he got upstairs, but once again, I didn't see anything. Alright. For your 21st birthday, you want to drink and go fishing or bowling? Yeah, actually, that sounds nice. Bowling and drinking is fun with the group. I think the most fun that I've had in drinking scenarios is, like, drinking in the comfort of your own home with people that you know. Because it's just like, I mean, maybe I'm just experiencing it wrong. Maybe I missed out on that whole spiel. But when you go to a bar, like, sure, you'll have your crew there, but there's no opportunities for meeting new people. I mean, maybe as a girl, you might have the opportunity of some creepy dude coming up to you and be like, "Yo, what's up? I'd like to, reproduce." But that doesn't really happen to, like, guys too often, so, like, because there's no real social context that makes sense for people to be speaking with one another. But the nice thing about house parties and the unfortunate aspect that those aren't a normal thing into your older years is, I don't know. There was something so much fun about, like, you already had like an icebreaker. You know, what what are you doing here? You know, so you just say like, so you're not like, what are you doing here? But like, what, well, who the fuck do you know? You know, or some shit like that. And, yeah, and then you just already have like a nice little reason to speak, even if it doesn't last for that long. It's like, there's just so much, like, there's sort of like a sense, you got to maintain a sense of formality when you go to like clubs and stuff. Molly says, sure, same, Joel. I don't know. Going to a bar doesn't sound like an ideal scenario for me. It's dumb. Yeah, I mean, I understand why some people might enjoy that, but like, there's just more fun to be had in a more personal setting with people. A lot better conversations, probably a lot more sort of real, like legitimate, real sensation that you might get from a conversation. Whereas in a bar, it's like you kind of have to maintain a certain sense of professionality, I suppose. Maybe I'm wrong, but you kind of have to hide your drunkenness, and you always have to find a way home, which kind of blows. So you can't just. I think maybe every bar should just have a couch for every person. If they don't, they will be fined. There's going to be a couch for every person in every bar. We're gonna include it. We're gonna pay for it. It's gonna be free couches. Hardy says, I'm horrible. I'll walk up to a girl at the grocery store and say, so what are you doing here? No, yeah, people say like grocery store dating is like the sort of like pinnacle of, you know, rom-com, you know, romance or whatever. But it's hard. It's hard. I don't know how people do it, you know, like I guess there's no shame in doing it, but I always feel weird being like, because I'm just so used to being a consumer. I'm so used to being thanks, stay true. I appreciate that. I'm so used to just being a consumer where like I get to like decide whether a product or something is like good for me or blah blah blah. So whenever I have to present myself as the product to the you know, as a suitor going in, I'm just definitely not as good at, you know, it's like being a, you know, going up to a girl is kind of like being a used car salesman. Like, slaps hood of car. I got so much, you know, I got so much change in my pocket or some shit. I don't know. I don't know what girls like. Do they like loose change in your pocket? Is that what they're into these days? I don't know. I can't keep up. Who knows? Just go up to them and shake your change. When you go to the strip club and they pay you. Miss Molly says, I can go to Perkins, equivalent to Denny's, and talk to a friend in the middle of the night about whatever, and that's my idea of an intimate conversation. Best convos happen at 2 a.m. I agree, yeah, I really like going to late night Denny's, Perkins, all those places. It's fun. It's fun. Oh, dude, yeah, maybe speed dating like as a normal service every Friday or Saturday or something at a place. Dude, you could open that. You could open that place. It'd be awkward, sure, but like, I guess those places exist. I just don't exist in a place like a real like forward-thinking zone where like there's so many people that you could just make up any sort of business out of your butt, like, you know, fart sniffing bar, and it like still would do well just based on foot traffic. But there's a market for everything. How do we monetize relationships? Speed dating. Okay, so this one's called went with 4, came back with 5. People still do speed dating. I don't think they do, but I think we're going to bring it back. Today's the day. The speed dating is going to be the thing. WTF was your snake doing? Oh, I don't know. Someone have a snake? Yeah, we need a personal ads on the Discord. Yeah, that's what selfies is pretty much, right? Oh, your snake got out and you literally didn't know where it was for 4 months? Holy shit, that thing's feral by now. Also, click that like button if you haven't already, guys. Do it for the snake. Before I begin this story, I feel it's important that I give out a few details first. So me and my 3 close friends like to drive around and walk around spooky places, as we generally get bored with our university nightlife fast and need something to sort of excite us. All of us are also big believers in the supernatural. Holy shit, this guy just solved all of our problems within the first sentence. He says they like to go to spooky places as we generally get bored of our university nightlife and need something sort of exciting to do. Dude, that's it. Instead of going to the bar, tell your friends, fuck it, we're getting drunk and going to the graveyard. Easy peasy. Dude, that's what I need to start. I need to open up a graveyard. That's what I need to do. Night times get wild there. All of us are also big believers in the supernatural, and 3 out of 4 of us have experienced some sort of paranormal experience. All of us are from Malaysia, and we Malaysians tend to believe in a lot of supernatural stuff as it is woven tight in our history and culture. Now, Malaysia had a terrible incident way back in 98 or 99, don't really remember, where 2 apartment buildings collapsed due to uneven lands. Majority of the tenants of those 2 apartments died. What's worse is that a number of them didn't die when the building crashed, but died due to lack of oxygen. You can look it up. The building is Highland Tower. So we decided to go to the area nearby there as the site where the tragedy happened is close, though there are no guards patrol. Fuck, sorry. I have to like edit this as I go, kind of. So headed to the graveyard with your roller skates and beer. Hell yeah. Just go around on the bike path. Yeah, just get drunk in a graveyard, field, side of the road, bench near your library. Dude, there's so many places you can just get drunk. You don't need a bar. You don't need a nightclub. Come on. Kindergarten, whatever. So we decided to go to the area nearby there, as the site where the tragedy happened is closed, though there are no guards patrolling. Okay, what the fuck? So we decided to go to the area nearby there, as the site where the tragedy happened is closed, though there are no guards patrolling. Just outside the gates is a small neighborhood, and boy, the neighborhood is creepy. You see the area that is the rich area, and yet a good amount of houses were empty. What's stranger was the fact that the whole neighborhood was absolutely quiet, a very uncommon thing in Malaysia, as we're incredibly loud. It felt as if though everyone just decided to up and leave the area. So as we walked around, a couple of strange things happened. First, the dogs in the neighborhood started barking at plain air. We Malaysians believe that when dogs start to do that sort of stuff, it means that they are seeing something that we aren't able to see. So we decided to avoid any area which the dogs are barking at. It's important to note that we made a few rules before doing all this. Again, a Malaysian thing, I suppose. 1. Don't call out real names. Use nicknames. This is so that any wandering spirits won't be able to latch itself to you. 2. Don't look back if you feel a presence. That is often a big mistake, as even if you look behind, you find nothing. You've actually just shown the spirits around you that you've noticed them. 3. Don't make loud remarks about strange things. We believe that if you see, hear, or smell anything strange, it's best to keep it to yourself first. If you needed to tell someone, then just hand signatures. What? Oh, maybe she meant gestures. 1 cat, 1 Joel, and 1 cup that we are drinking milk from. Stonehouse with a $5 says, love the streams, man. I work night shifts and they keep things somewhat sane. I'm glad. What kind of night shift are you working? Joel in a cup. There's ball in a cup, then there's Joel in a cup, then there's Joel's balls in a cup. Everybody's favorite game. Just kidding. Nice. Don't make loud remarks about strange things. We believe that if you if you need to tell someone, use hand. Okay. But yeah, thank you for the 5, Stonehouse. Thank you, thank you. If you need to tell someone, then just use hand gestures or make some excuse to sort of hint at them. This is similar to the second one, as any remarks could easily attract unwanted attention. As we walked throughout the neighborhood, we heard footsteps behind us. Remembering the rules, none of us looked back. See, the footsteps were odd, as they just sort of randomly appeared out of nowhere. The footsteps also started to get faster, so one of our group mates, the expert as we called him, led us to the exit using a shortcut as it was getting too uncomfortable. And here's where stuff happens. See, the expert is one of those guys who can see things, or at least feel it to a certain extent. Now, because we're big believers, we don't question him, we just follow, as we all want to get through this as clean as possible. See, the expert is my best friend, and he often brings me to the side to whisper to me if anything is really wrong and close to being dangerous. The place where we parked our car was directly beneath this huge tree, so my best mate called out to me to the side and whispered, "Wait, fuck, what?" Say what? So, my best mate. Original Asherella with the 2 says, let's read Cemetery Dating, Get Love to Death. Absolutely, yeah. That would be... That's it. Just need to buy a field, some, dead bodies, whatever, dude. Yeah, bury them, stones, all that good stuff. Maybe we don't even need dead bodies. Like, well, you kind of need them, or otherwise people are gonna start calling you out for not having an authentic cemetery. But maybe you could get an old one that's abandoned and just say, like, you could have door guys and... Oh god, it just turns back into the bar scene again. We could literally dance on people's graves, am I right? Renee Goldman with the 5 says, keep up the good work. Thank you, Renee. That'd be sick to have like huge wings, just like giant wings, like a bat. Just like we hear someone behind you say, "Oh, that's just Let's Read. He's got big old wings." I guess you don't need to caw if you have big wings. You're just being silly at that point. Alright, the place where we parked our car was directly beneath this huge tree, so my best mate called me to the side and whispered to me. Okay. This place where we parked our car was directly beneath this huge tree, so my best friend calls to me to my side and whispers to me, "Dude, don't panic. But when we get to the car, keep quiet and make sure the others keep quiet too until we reach a place with more people." Why? There's a woman on the tree above your car. She's been looking at us since just now. Following his advice, I went on and started the car like usual while making some small jokes, trying to take everyone else's attention away. As I reversed the car, both my mate and me noticed in the reverse camera that there was a clear shadow of a woman sitting down on top of the car. Again, not wanting to scare everyone else and to antagonize it further, we keep quiet. We went to a nearby restaurant and sit down for a while. The woman was still on top of the car, according to my mate, and was hiding itself. The worst case scenario is that if it follows us back to our university dorm and decides to latch into one of us. So I told the guys that when we entered the car, I'm going to play a special prayer recording out loud using the aux cord while also reading the prayers myself. I'm not a super religious person, but I do believe in God and His protection. If the plan didn't work, then we would just drive around or hang at a McDonald's until 5 a.m. because that's the holy time for my religion, and the woman would disappear. We entered the car and I immediately started playing the prayers. My mate was driving this time as I wanted to focus fully on the prayer. The moment I started the prayer, the car suddenly got heavy, as if there was an extra passenger when there shouldn't be any. I continued to play the recording along the journey, and to my shame, I fell asleep halfway. By the time I woke up, it was nearly 2 a.m. and we reached the dorms already. According to my friend, the prayers worked, but took quite a bit of time as the woman only let go as we were entering the university area. I asked if he noticed anything strange, and he said that after all three of us went to sleep, he heard someone huffing and puffing, but in an angry way. He also noticed that several times the prayer recording got interrupted as the volume went up and down, as if someone was trying to purposely mess it up. Jeesh. Mia Mina, Joel is an angel. That's why his voice sounds so comforting. Perhaps. I am the messenger. I am the messenger. Dude, play the prayers to get rid of the ghosts. Oh, I'm asleep. Pour water on your keyboard, it keeps the dust out. Now that's some sound advice, my good friend. Billy, I want to congratulate you on a good bathroom break. You've done well. You've done well for yourself. Joel, are you good? I don't know. I think I'm pretty chaotic neutral. Lila, how many more stories? You're tired? You can fall. You're more than welcome to fall asleep. I ain't keeping you here, bruh. In fact, the whole point of my channel is to make you fall asleep. And enter dreamland. Nisa, your cat's trash in your room. That's hilarious. Just knocking shit around. Fuck it. Fuck this shit. Yeah, Jake. Guys, Jake's giving some good advice about peeing in a bottle. I can't be having people just leaving streams. If you got a bottle near you, you know what to do with it. That's what I've been doing. Hey, Diamond Horse, sleep well, sleep well. If you ever have your own makeup brand, Chaotic Neutral is going to be the name of something. Yeah, that actually sounds great. Oh, shit. Alright, we got 4 more stories to go. We've been grinding, primeling, profiling them. We've been killing it. We have been killing all night. Killing these stories. Yeah, I'll drink the wrong bottle. Oh, good question. Wolves, Joel, you play Bad Company 2. I did. I played a lot of Bad Company 2 back on the Xbox 360. It was so much fun, dude. It was crazy because the story was kind of like silly, but then you go to the multiplayer and it was like so much better than the Call of Duty at that time. And I think it was, and I personally think it's still better than all the Call of Duties that have existed since then, because Call of Duty is just like so, it's not very organic, you know what I mean? It doesn't, like, everything kind of just feels very like stringent and strict. Granted, they do have one of the, the Call of Duty that's, Battle Royale now, but like even in that, like everything is very just like a lot of set pieces and that kind of thing. But I remember when Bad Company 2 came out, it was like they had an amazing leveling system. They had, everything was modern, warfare combat. It wasn't comedic anymore. It was like serious, and there was some of the best in-game destruction that had existed to that point in games. That was so much fun because I just love like playing the hardcore mode where you could die really easy, and then just shooting your grenade launcher from your assault rifle directly at a window and just seeing it like blow up and like getting a confirmed kill. It was just, there was a lot of like fun stuff in that game that I just haven't really been into the Battlefields after that. Like I played Battlefield 3, a little bit of Battlefield 4, and then Battlefield, I didn't really play 1. I don't know, it just doesn't hit me the same. I'm not really sure why exactly. Okay, let us begin. Before I begin the story, I feel it's important that I give out a few details. Wait, fuck. Oh, actually, I'm wrong. I read the story already. What the fuck am I doing? You already read the story? Okay. Sweet. So I guess we only have 3 stories left. My bad. Unless I clicked this one twice. Yeah, I did click this one twice. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Did I... Wait. On pin. I'm gonna look and see if I missed one. Went with 4, came back with 5. My little cousin and the screaming lady. I don't even know how to verify which story I did or did not read. Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess they only had 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wait, no. Oh, sorry, dudes. I'm like so thrown for a loop right now on which story I did or did not read. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. But this has... Oh, shit. Well, you know what? I'm just going to keep reading and then I'll include the one I missed later. I don't want to waste your guys' time. Lils of the 5 says, Joel, your voice is... Is that drool? I can't tell what that emoji is. But thank you, Lils. I'll take that as a positive. And thank you for the 5. Alright, let's just cruise along here. So my cousin moved back into town a little over a year ago. I want to say April to June of 2018. She has 3 kids and the youngest is a 5-year-old girl. After they had moved into their new place and were finally settled in after a few weeks, I went to visit along with some other family members. We had an overall good time, a lot of good food and whatnot. After dinner, I remember my little cousin, who was 4 at the time, wanting to play that cootie game. It was in her room upstairs, and she needed someone to go with her because she was afraid of something. I put it up to her being in a new environment and still getting used to the house. So naturally, as an adult, I prepared to fight off any escaped Monsters, Inc. characters so she could get her game. We got to her room and she refused to set foot in it, and I asked something along the lines of, "Is there something bad in here?" She nodded and pointed to the game, and I went to grab it, and then she told me to be careful in that corner of her room. I asked why, and she says, "That's where the screaming lady is. She's on fire and screaming a lot. I don't like her." Hearing this makes my heart drop into my gut like a lead anvil. I quickly grabbed the game and went downstairs. As soon as we were back in the living room, my cousin returned to her normal, cheery self and we played some cootie. Later on that night, I asked her mother, my first cousin, if she knew about the screaming lady that her daughter told me about. She said that her daughter refused to sleep in her room until they make the lady go away, and has to come sleep in her parents' bed just about every night since they moved in. No one else has had any weird experiences in the house since moving in, but this 4-year-old girl is beyond terrified on a daily basis. A month or so passes, and I don't really hear much more about any spooky experiences, so I eventually came to the conclusion that my cousin was simply having very specific, reoccurring night terrors. Cut to yesterday evening. It was the birthday for... Wait, I've told this story 4 months ago? That's not true. That's actually not true because I remember every story, especially if I read it, and I would specifically remember if I read a story about a woman on fire. And I don't remember Cootie being mentioned. I don't remember Cootie. You might be mixing me up with... Also, if this was from 4 months ago, this story was only last submitted 24 days ago. So, I don't know. Maybe it's something similar, but I don't think I've read this one for show. I don't think so. I don't think so. He read it 4 years ago? What the fuck? I'll tell the Squirrel Squad you like our humor. Squirrels. Alright. Cut to yesterday evening. It was the birthday for another one of my cousin's kids, so I stopped over to bring him the new Fire Emblem game for the Nintendo Switch. I usually stop over a few times a week to hang out since it's not far from my workplace. So today, being my cousin's birthday, didn't make my stopping over a rare occurrence. We played some of that, we played some Mario Kart and some Super Smash Brothers, and everything went well. Until later on in the evening, we were waiting for a pizza to arrive, and I was in the kitchen grabbing some soda with the cousin whose birthday it was. Out of nowhere, we both pick up on the very distinct smell of burning. My cousin and her husband came out of the living room into the kitchen, thinking we had cooked and burned something, but obviously we hadn't. The house filled up with this smell, and if I was blind, I would have guessed that I was right next to a massive bonfire minus the heat. During this time, my youngest cousin, now 5, was taking a nap on the couch in the living room. She suddenly starts yelling for her mom, who goes in to check on her. Everyone else follows, and she inconsolably is crying and screaming, saying, "I can hear the screaming lady in my room. I hear her screaming." So basically everyone had the same lead anvil heart dropping into their gut feeling that I had last year, and we went up to her room, with her mom staying with her. We saw nothing, but the smell of burning had changed from that of a bonfire to only what I can guess a person smells like when they're burning. A heavy waft of burning hair smell followed by some other burning smell that I hadn't experienced in my entire life thus far. We quickly went back downstairs and told her mother what we had experienced, and she decided for us all to go outside to the front porch patio area until the pizza arrived. My little cousin was still hysterical, saying she didn't want to hear the lady screaming anymore. We tried to calm her, and eventually she seemed to settle down a bit, still scared but not screaming and crying. We continued to sit there for maybe 10 minutes. My other younger cousins and I were comparing our Pokemon Go collections, and my youngest cousin... Oh, he just came from a wedding. That's funny. That'll do it to you. That'll do it. Let's see, comparing Pokemon Go, la-di-da-di-do. That's actually interesting to think if YouTube children channels are being demonetized, how will that switch up? How do they even determine that? You know what I mean? How do they even determine that? Were the big ones? Are the big ones targeted? You know what I mean? What Harry Potter house am I? I think Bingle Buff, or Smoogle Schmoosh, or Smagler Pack, or Smegma Stench. I'm part of Smegma Stench. But yeah, with Sea Master. I thought it was Sea Mustard for a second, but hello, Sea Master. Welcome, welcome. Now, yeah, that will really switch up content on YouTube if kids stuff is not available anymore. And how do you find, how do you even determine or narrow that down, even through like an algorithm or something? You know what I mean? Okay. Yeah, makeup gurus definitely have children. I mean, I think every channel has children listening, but I don't think, like, how would they demonetize children's channels? Like, I would understand if maybe they stop being able to take data on or they changed up their data system, so they're not looking up data on children anymore. Billy Amber with the 2 says, Joel, read me. I'm an open book for you. Are you like a encyclopedia or like some sort of like, you know, book about dinosaurs? Because those are the only ones that I read. And Reddit stuff. My favorite band. That's a toughie. That's an impossible question. A loaded question, I would say. My 2 other younger cousins and I were comparing our Pokemon Go collections, and my youngest cousin and her parents were watching some kid-friendly YouTube stuff to distract her. Out of nowhere, everyone hears the most blood-curdling, terrifying, and loud scream come from inside the house's 2nd floor. It must have lasted for maybe 15 or so seconds straight. Just multiple long, horrible screams. And after that moment, everything went dead quiet. My 5-year-old cousin went back to throwing a fit, and everyone else was visibly shaken. I decided that it was time to leave at that point. It was about 9:30 p.m., and while pizza would have been very tempting, I was not hungry in the slightest anymore. I thanked them for ordering a pizza, even though I wasn't going to have any, and they wholeheartedly understood. I wished my other cousin a happy birthday. Happy birthday! Fuck, my voice is starting to crickety crack. I hope I can make it through. All of them. And they have 4 months before the rules go into place. I sent you the video on Discord. Oh, okay, thanks, Mina. That's crazy. 4 months? How do you determine? What's the tags? What's the metadata for children's shit? I don't understand why you would just like demonetize all of them and not just change up your data mining, you know, tendencies or whatever. I wished my other cousin a happy birthday and told him not to spoil the new Fire Emblem game for me, and went home. I couldn't sleep at all last night, and I didn't even turn off my light. I was a tired mess at work today, and I'm still fearful of going to bed at tonight. Alright. Fuck. I'm tired, mess at work today, and I'm still fearful. Okay. I was a tired mess at work tonight, and I'm still fearful of going to bed at night. Oh, fuck, no, shit. Poop. Poop shit. So the trick is, I'll have to say as many bad words as possible to signify to YouTube that I'm not a kid's channel and that I won't get demonetized. I'm drenched in pizza sauce. This is true. I can't even think straight. Do you know the way? Oh my god, I missed that. It's the greatest meme. Way better than that's the I mean, I like the SpongeBob one where he's like, I'm a head out. Like, I like that for different circumstances, but I've had enough. I'm ready for the meme to die. I couldn't sleep at all last night, and I didn't even turn off my light. I was a tired mess at work today, and I'm still fearful of going to bed tonight. I texted my cousin a few times today and this evening, and she said that the burning smell didn't go away until around 4 a.m., and no one slept last night there either, and are looking into getting some kind of help so they can feel less terrified of their home. I feel terraform. I feel terrible for them, and worse for my young cousin, who has been actually seeing this screaming lady in her bedroom, and I haven't been able to get the smells coming from her room out of my head, and I've been getting hints of them on and off as my day has gone on. I'm hoping that it's just a residual smell memory and not something more ominous. I still don't think I want to try and sleep tonight, especially not with my light off. Sorry for the length of this. It was just such a crazy, scary experience, and I knew that I needed to share it with... actually, let me just start with or end with the light off one. I still don't think I want to try and sleep tonight, especially not with the light off. You want me to deliver the perfect baby with Morgan Freeman? You could mix me and Morgan Freeman's seed, create the voice. It would be nothing but a voice, just this flowing, moving, vibrational field. Or maybe even just a pair of lungs that float around and just go whoa, 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 in a voice box. Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman, the poop that took a pee. The poop that took a pee. Chills is the offspring, yes. Dylan is my baby. Dylan is my baby. Dylan is my son. Dylan is my offspring. Oh shit. What was that? He's here. He's here. Ah. Alright. Are there any stories about skinwalkers or wendigos in eastern Washington? I found a few stories from the west. Alright, we'll just start here. So I've had several weird experiences in this house since I moved here at the end of May and have posted about a few. My friend, who's a skeptic, and his wife came over, and I told them about the encounters, so we started exploring around a bit to see if we could see any shadows or anything. Well, across the street from my house is a grain elevator, and even though it looks like any other grain elevator, it kind of has a creepy vibe to it. My friend, who we will call T, decided to walk over to it around 10 p.m., on August the 10th, 2019, last night as I write this. He walked over alone while my wife, T's wife, and myself talked in the front yard. We see T walk back and looks pale and flushed, and he says he saw a really long bony hand with long bony fingers and a really long arm reach around the corner of the grain silo around 8 or 9 feet off the ground, and he shined his flashlight at it and it disappeared. He has never believed in the paranormal or humanoids or anything like that, and he wasn't making it up because we could all tell he was genuinely terrified. Well, we were all curious, so he and I walked back over to the area and we both saw a head pop out around the corner incredibly quick and kept hearing footsteps behind us. We would get these cold patches where the air felt 10 degrees Fahrenheit colder, and we would both get covered in goosebumps. We talked about 10 minutes along the train tracks and... We walked about 10 minutes along the train tracks and kept hearing noises and asking each other if we both heard them. We went and got our wives and didn't tell them what we saw or felt and brought them over, and they both said it felt way colder in certain spots and kept getting goosebumps too. At one point I swear I felt something brush against my hand. So afterwards we were standing in my front yard and I told T what he saw kind of sounded like a skinwalker or a wendigo, and started showing him drawings, and he was freaked out and said that is exactly what he saw. We went back over once more to see if we could see any more signs of it, and he freaked out and looked pale and sweaty and swears he saw yellow glowing eyes about 9 feet off the ground peering around the building where he and I saw what looked like a head. Like I said, he was super skeptical, and after this, he was terrified and sweating and looked flush. I don't know what he saw or what we heard, but it wasn't animals because it would only be a few footsteps that would stop soon after we did, and whatever he saw was probably 9 feet tall. We even tried to recreate what he saw when he saw the hand, but we couldn't reach as high as he saw it just standing on the ground. We both had this feeling of dread and being watched the whole time we walked on the tracks. We were all sober at the time too, not drinking or drugs of any kind at the time that we saw this stuff. Wait, fuck. We were all sober at the time too, no drinking or drugs of any kind at the time we saw this stuff. Now, I do live about 5 to 10 miles from a mass Native American slaughter site in the 1800s and a battlefield. Does anyone else have a story about a Wendigo or skinwalker in eastern Washington? I would really like to know. Okay, oh man, phew. All right. So this is the last story. If you guys want to think of something to say at the end that would tickle your fancy, or tickle more than your fancy for these 4 skinwalkers. Take a breath. Gargle. I shall. The gargle has been garged, my lady. What was my what was my Harry Potter house again? I don't remember. You may have heard stories about skinwalkers, Native American witches, or spirits that turn into animals to cause harm. But at the lake where I spent the larger portion of my childhood summers, they went by a different name, Deerians. The story has faded to most families at the lake over time, but mine still recites it in hushed whispers around the campfire. The legends of the Deerians begin sometime in the 18th century. Settlers from Europe flocked to northern Michigan with hopes of getting a head start on the fur trade. That's when they found the lake. And at the lake there were native tribes. Most were welcoming and hospitable. Others were quiet and kept to themselves, but most were kind. Most. There was one tribe, a single tribe that resided in the swamps of the western side of the lake, and they were vicious. They would attack anyone who strayed too far into the swamp. Man, woman, child, settler, even other tribes. Nobody knew why they were so aggressive, but they tried to leave them alone. But the attacks added up, and then followed the deaths and disappearances, and the settlers had had enough. They began to set up traps and ambushes in the swamp where they knew the tribe would be. Common hunting grounds, pathways, even the village itself, but they were always abandoned, inhabited only by a herd of white-tailed deer. Sometimes people never came home from the swamp. They go missing for days on end, but would later be found completely mangled. Most blame wolves or a bear or a mountain lion, but upon further inspection, the only tracks that would ever be found in that area belonged to deer. But that's not the story. No, my story takes place hundreds of years after the deaths and disappearances of the French settlers. I had always dismissed the stories of the Deerians as just that, stories. Tales to frighten wide-eyed children and keep them within the confines of the family property. But one evening changed all of that completely. Bald eagles are a common sight at the lake, but their nests are not easy to find. Therefore, when my cousin said he'd found a nest while he was kayaking along the river that ran through the swamp, my dad and I naturally wanted to see it. We hopped into the rickety old canoe and, with what little daylight we had left, set off towards the swamp. As we approached, we noticed something. It was a doe, drinking peacefully from the water. She didn't notice us at first, but something made her look up and notice Dad and me, and it was at this moment I knew something was up. White-tailed deer are another dime a dozen animal at the lake, though if you get more than about 100 feet of one, they take off, but this deer was different. They just stood there, and as we got closer, I could tell this deer was wrong. She looked as if though a child had read about a deer one time in a book, then drew one from what little we understood. I got close enough to the deer so that I could almost touch her, but then she calmly turned and walked like a marionette into the woods. Dad and I looked at each other, but laughed it off. It was nothing. It had to be. Just some deformed deer. We entered the river, and immediately I was hit with a wall of sound. Birds, crickets, and cicadas accompanied us on our journey, and as we turned the first bend, I heard something in the tall grass to my right, rustling. A big animal, perhaps that malformed deer. Dad didn't seem to notice, but I listened closely. Rustling, then, to my surprise, a low whisper, and with a hyena-like giggle, the thing ran off into the woods. I felt uneasy. I felt watched. I wanted to tell my dad, but I was worried he'd tease me, so we just kept paddling. Eventually, we stopped to rest. We scanned two tops of trees. It's the swamp dweller. Holy shit, it might be the swamp dweller, because his thing is like a, wait, what's his? Panthera 2K1. Dude, that might be swamp dweller. Did we? Is it him? Just kidding. Anyways. I felt uneasy, I felt watched. I wanted to tell Dad, but I was so worried he'd tease me. Where was I? She looked as if though a child had read about a deer. Rustling hyena. I wanted to tell. I felt uneasy. I felt watched. I wanted to tell Dad, but I was worried he'd tease me, so we just kept paddling. Eventually we stopped to rest. We scanned the tops of the trees for the eagle nests until we noticed something. The swamp, which had previously been bustling with life, was empty. No birds, no crickets, no cicadas. No noise at all until I heard another low whisper from the grass to my right, then another to my left, then giggling all around. I no longer felt watched. I felt hunted. Something splashed in the water behind me, but by the time I turned and looked, all I saw was the tracks of a deer. I looked at Dad, who I had never seen afraid before, and I knew he was absolutely terrified. We began to paddle, for dear life, and with that the swamp roared to life. We paddled against the current, as birds dive-bombed us and insects swarmed us, and the giggling all around. We paddled for what seemed like an eternity until suddenly, silence. Dad and I were in the open lake, safely away from the confines of the swamp. I took the time to try and calm myself until something plunked into the water beside me. I looked and saw an arrowhead sinking slowly into the shallow water of the bay. I hesitantly turned to seek its source and only saw a stag, walking like a marionette, disappear into the swamp. Spooky sweet dreams. You're in my swamp, donkey. In me swamp. Now I know why Swamp Dweller loves Shrek so much. 'Cause he is Shrek. Oh, okay. I found the additional story that I think we missed. Skinwalkers. Yeah. It's called My Experiences. Probably not going to be great because it doesn't have a lot of upvotes, but could be fine. Might as well stick around if you guys want to. Might as well throw it in for some content, am I right, guys? Joel, do a tongue twister at the end. What tongue twister should I do? My tongue's all twisted from kissing your mom. Alright. Also, before we start, I will preface this with the following. I have always been interested in cryptids, occultism, and the paranormal, but until 2 years ago, I was skeptical about it. La-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, we're going on 3 hours strim-stramming. what's scarier, skinwalkers or skinny dippers? That's a good question. A burp and a hiccup. Yeah. Schmegma Masserina. Fuck it. Let's just read it. I don't care. Before we start, I will preface this with the following. I have always been interested in cryptids, occultism, the paranormal, but until about 2 years ago, I was skeptical about it. About 2 years ago, I started to go after that kind of stuff with a friend, Z, who had a lot of luck with it. I have experienced a lot since then, including this story, and continue to delve into the unknown. One final note, I'm not ingrained into the culture much anymore, but I am about 1/3 to 1/4 native, though not Navajo completely. Now then, about a year ago, me and my friends had decided to go camping up in northern Arizona near Flagstaff. We chose this spot because we all wanted to escape the hellscape that is the rest of Arizona's weather. Originally, the plan and... We chose this spot because we all wanted to escape the heat of Arizona's weather. Originally, the plan involved more people, but by the time we actually left, we were down to me and my friends Z, V, and P. This worked out, though, as it meant we could just take one car, something that may have saved us that weekend. Now, we weren't experienced campers or anything, but... we had the basics. A tent, flashlights, fire starter, and I had my Mosin Nag... Oh, how do you say that shit? Mosin? Mosin Nagant? I feel like I've seen that before, but I don't. Oh, it's a gun. It's a gun. Shit. It's kind of like an M1 Grand. Wow. It's pretty sweet. I wonder how you say that. Pronunciation. Okay, Mosin. Okay, Mosin Nagon. Nagon? Mosin Nagant? Noggin?
Alright, we're ready.
Oh my god. It's good old boys out here.
It's a conspiracy.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, brother. No, don't. Oh god, sorry. He shot me. Alright, did he even say how to pronounce it? Son of a bitch. They're actually pronounced moist nugget.
Hey, Kurt, do you want to shoot my moist nugget rifle?
Oh, god damn it. It was a joke. It was a joke the whole time. Mosin Nagant. What the fuck? Mosin Nagan is considered proper. Common way to pronounce it is Mosin Nagant. Nagant. Mosin without the Nagan. Alright, yeah, fuck it. Standard rifle for the Red Army. Good to know. Now, we weren't experienced campers or anything, but we had the basics. A tent, flashlights, fire starter, and I had my Mosin's Nagant. Not the best, I know, but it fired a big round and I had ample ammo at the time. We chose a site based on reviews a bit north of Flagstaff and followed our GPS there through some windy back roads. Eventually we hit a Y intersection and went left as the GPS told us to go. By the time we eventually find a parking area and get out and look for a good campsite, it's well past 10 p.m. So I take my rifle and flashlight. Z and V also grab flashlights and we head off. We trek through the woods for about 15 minutes, looking for a good place, but to no avail. We were all feeling tense as we searched. Something fell off, and we all vocalized it, almost like we were being watched. We started to head back through a clearing. We passed the car, but about 3/4 of the way through, I asked Z a question and get no response. Finding this particularly odd, I turn around to find him about halfway back in the field watching behind us, shuffling in place like he wanted to walk back from where we had just come. I call out to him, and he snaps out of it and swears he only looked back for a second, and catches back up with us. Now, before you say got... Oh, whoops. Now, before you say he got, I doubt this because of what happens later, and that he has acted completely normal and looked normal ever since. We get back to the car without anything else happening and decided maybe we should have taken the right path at the Y instead, so we drove back. We arrived at the Y and take the right path this time, but getting a whopping 30 feet before we stop. There's a ditch in the road and we aren't sure if the car could make it over, so Z gets out to check. It takes him less than a minute to figure out that it couldn't and walks up to the driver's side window to tell us. It's only after saying it can't that he freezes in his tracks and just stares behind the car at the intersection and simply says to look in a hurried voice. We all contort ourselves around the car looking through mirrors in the back window, but we all see it. A tall figure, easily 8 to 9 feet tall, standing behind a tree watching us. Once confirmed, Z isn't just seeing things, he basically vaults over the car and dives into the back seat, slamming the door behind him. During the commotion, we lose sight of the thing for a moment, and by the time we look back, it's still there, but in a different stance, just stalking us. We did get Joel from our Area 51 raid. Did you guys go without me? Or I guess you picked me up there just to clap my cheeks. Oh, okay, we're so close. Georgia, Georgia. During the commotion, we lose sight of the thing for a moment, and by the time we look back, it's still there, but in a different stance, just stalking us. We quickly get a flashlight out of the sunroof while I rapidly load my rifle. And during this time, it moves again, slightly deeper into the tree line, but still watching us. We are stuck in a staring match for what feels like forever as we are too cornered backing up. Well, as we are too concerned. We are stuck in a staring match for what feels like forever, as we are too concerned backing up will make it strike, and currently it isn't for whatever reason. Eventually something broke our line of sight with it. I can't quite recall what. I believe I was trying to get people to move so I could line up a shot through the back window, but I can't be sure. And knowing what I do now, it probably would have done nothing but make us feel in control. Regardless, in this time frame, we lost it as it presumably fell more into the woods, and we wasted no time slamming it into reverse, turning back to where we originally came from and gunning it. I kept my window down with the barrel out facing the woods it went into. While I never fired, I swear I saw something dart around in the darkness. I am sure that it chased us because of that, and from the scream we all heard while driving away, it sounded feminine, but not quite human, and way too loud to be anything good. We decided to stay at a motel that night in Flag and went back to Phoenix the following morning. That's how the story ended until earlier this year. For those of you who live in Arizona, you probably heard last winter Flagstaff got hit pretty hard with a big snowstorm. Naturally, I went up right after the storm ended to have some fun with friends in the cold, sled, that kind of stuff. I hate the unending heat the rest of Arizona has, so Flagstaff is my getaway whenever I want to cool off, and it's easier now because I have some other friends that live up there and go to NAU. We'll call them L and W, and I went up with 2 other friends, R and Q. Most of the trip was fun, but I did experience some stuff, though mostly unrelated to this sub, more paranormal stuff with Q. The second to last night, though, we decided to go sledding on a particularly good hill for it near the sports center. Arena and stadium both sound too grand, but it's like where people play football or something. The sledding was fun and all, but after me and L, who like Z also has a lot of experience, felt very off, like something was watching us. We trekked through the small woods around the area, and while I didn't see anything, I definitely felt an ominous presence. Meanwhile, L told me once we were in the car that he did see something pop its head over a hill and stare at him before retreating back away. He said he couldn't see all of it, but it seemed big from the silhouette he could see. This one I'm not so sure of, as I couldn't see it myself, but it definitely felt very similar to a year ago. So take the second one with a grain of salt, I suppose. Do you guys think both, one, or neither were skinwalkers? Because I still can't explain that first night, no matter how many times I look back on it. Northern Arizona, it's snowing, it's snowing, it's snowing. Can you see the rock over a barbecue pit cooking for people in the desert? Can you see the rock over the barbecue pit cooking for people in the desert? I'm confused what that means. The hiccup burp is the Buttersock cult mating call. I'll just say that for the ending. Oh man, what time is it? Oh, it's almost 3 in the morning. Normally I finish streams at like midnight, but I guess I didn't start till about that time anyways. Can you smell what the rock is cooking? Hey friends, thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe and click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. If you got a story, be sure to submit them to my subreddit, r/Let's Read Official, and give and receive feedback from the community, and maybe even hear your story featured on the next video. And join my Discord to interact with me and other listeners directly. And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all future narrations for just $1 a month on Patreon, and maybe even pick up some Let's Read merch on Spreadshirt. And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all of these stories in long compilation form and save huge on data. Located on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Links in the bio. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, the hiccup burp is the Buttersock cult mating call. Boom shakalaka laka 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 laka. Boom shakalaka ree shakalaka gee. Sell me your bathwater, Billy. I don't take baths though. You'll have to collect my shower droppings. Well, guys, thank you for being amazing and being here for this little extra long stream here, going on 3+ hours. I love you. This video in its entirety will be out on Monday, so not necessarily tomorrow. Well, actually, it will be tomorrow since it's already Sunday, but it'll be out. Joel just having a stroke. Somebody help me.
Full-grown pizza.
Oh, whoa. Full-grown pizza. Oh, Cassandra Wright has become a sponsor. So I think when that does that, it doesn't tell me that someone's renewing, like their membership has been renewed. Like there's, what's it called? Membership? I don't even know, and I'm the streamer. What the hell? But, yeah. Thank you, Cassandra Wright. But, yeah, so this will be out Monday. You'll see that plastered across all of my social media, Twitter, Instagram. I'm wondering if I should reinstate Facebook. I don't know. I kind of hate Facebook, but I'm curious if maybe I should do it. Yeah. If you guys want to keep chatting or, you know, be friends with each other and that kind of thing, join the Discord. We can get that linked again here from one of the mods. That'll be dope. I believe it's linked in the description as well of like every video, but I don't know if like it expires or something. I might have to unexpire that. But yeah, Monday Blues cured by Let's Read videos. I like the sound of that. But yeah, guys, I hope you have a good rest of your Sunday. Now that we've penetrated Sunday. How do you become a member? I believe there's a button somewhere. Somewhere maybe where you can donate, but it says become a member instead. It might be near the subscribe button on the normal page, but I'm not sure. But yeah, I might be chilling in the Discord a little bit if you guys want to hang out there. Maybe not also because it's late, but you never know. Alright. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye. Sleep so swell and sound.